Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Steven. Doing good. I had to actually look to see what episode or what spy number we're on because my mind completely is a blank. I always do. I always have to do. Thank you for posting it someplace on my screen so that I can see it. That's why you're the producer of the show, and I'm not. But yeah, we are back once again for spy number 97, closing in on the century mark for Chasing Labels. Ever so slowly, it seems like. But May is right around the corner, and we've got a ton of stuff to talk about this week. But before we do, we don't have only one guest. We have two guests on this week, Stephen. Who do we have?
Takes two to tango, guys. In this case, four, because there's four of us. So, no, I'm just kidding. But of course, we've had one of them on back in the day. And then now we're bringing on another they're kind of a duo in a way, because they both kind of do each other's podcasts. And one of them does the Imprint Cast, and then the other one is the main host of the Indicator Cast. We got Jonathan Mathews and Tony Michas. How you doing, man?
Doing well, thank you very much, and looking forward to recording Chasing Labels with you guys. That'd be great.
We I don't know about Andrew. I don't think he has a lot of time for podcasts, but me, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to both of you guys regularly, and I love just hearing you guys geek out about the new announcements. So and you guys get some great guests on too. I know you guys had Lee on, and you guys of course had Sam and John from Indicator on as well. And you guys do a great job.
No, thank you. I'm glad to be back. Yeah, I remember it was probably an earlier episode of yours. I'm trying to remember when it was I was on. Yeah,
I think it was maybe like early. It was maybe about this time last year, maybe something like that. Something like that. Yeah. So we did talk to John, a little bit about himself, I think, when we had him on. I don't know. It has been so long ago. I don't know. I don't know how deep we did get into John's past.
I mean, it was episode 21.
Ooh, it is pretty early.
That's
earlier than I thought. Yeah.
That may have been 2 years ago for all we know, but these years keep running together.
Blur post-COVID.
Yeah, I guess we could get a bit of an update about what's been going on.
Well, sure, yeah. Well, I want to start with Tony there because we've never had him on before. So, Tony, tell us a little bit of an idea of what you're up to right now, and then we'll go from there.
Well, just mainly collecting my physical media, and of course, I'm looking through the Imprint stuff and trying to promote the podcast as well as the Facebook posts, Facebook groups as well, and basically just checking out what's coming out soon on all labels, and of course mainly because for Imprint we do John and I specialize in Imprint Cast, and of course we do the group, which is great. We're getting a lot of great followers, which is fantastic, and as you said, we're trying to get a lot of great guests as well. I'm just privileged enough to have had Lee Gambin on, and we've also had we had so many, but Lee Gambin's one of our dearest friends, and he always wants to help us bring some guests along, which is fantastic.
Yeah. That's great, man.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what's the, if you don't mind, the personal side, like what do you do day to day? What's the I know this ain't your job, just like us. This is not our job.
No. It's not my full-time job. No. My full-time job is a full-time carer. I am a full-time carer for some people for disabled people, and I do help them out whenever they need it. And pretty full-on day. Pretty full-on with being a full-time carer. But thank goodness for collecting and movies, because if looking after disabled people all day, it can be very harrowing, and it can put a strain on you. So it does help.
Definitely. Do you share any of the movies you collect with people that you're caring for? Do you have time for that?
Some of them, no, not really, because what some of my clients need to do is basically take them out where they need to go. And also my sister is also I also look after my sister, who who has a mild case of cerebral palsy. So I look after her as well. And it's pretty difficult with my sister. Like what she watches is mainly classic television, but I just watch everything else. So it's something.
Yeah, all right. That's great, man. That's great. John, give us an update on yourself. If please, what's going on with you, and then of course a little bit into your personal history. Like I said, I don't even remember if I asked you to. At the time, we weren't as good at interviewing people as I think we are now. So please give us a little update.
Yeah, been doing well, thanks. I excuse me. Still doing Indicator Cast. We've had to put the episodes not coming out as often as they used to, just because our two main hosts, Matt Schley, got very busy with moving in his new job. So let's put things on hold for a while. I hope to get Matt back on, because Matt was one of the real reasons we got the podcast going. And Ryan Kendall also has some stuff going on, so he's been out of the mix for a while. So try and do the episodes. Obviously, Tony's been a massive help jumping in and helping out, while Ryan and Matt Schley has obviously stuff going on. So that podcast, it's still going. It's just been put on hold. We hope to get more episodes coming. So I know there's a lot of people asking that where's the next episode, because we're a bit behind on announcements, but just because of scheduling, we want to get people back on. So that's where Indicator Cast is. But a lot of my energy has been focused on Imprint Cast with Tony, because Tony's been doing amazing work there, getting great guests, the groups. So just very busy, and obviously, just keeping up to date with physical media. It's funny, I was going to mention how Tony and I actually met was through physical media. It's funny because we were on Facebook groups many years ago, and someone actually just said, "Hey, why don't we all just have a meetup?" And we all got together. I think was it Tony, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Around 5 years ago. Absolutely. Yeah, it was around 5 years ago. Like, one of the main reasons was one of the admins, which John is also an admin in one of those horror groups, is he lives in Melbourne, and he wanted to come up to Sydney, and they just thought, let's have a gathering, let's have a get together. The most famous, some of the popular members of the groups who show off their recent releases, who show off everything else, and discuss what they love, and have them as a barbecue. And then 5 years ago, we went to a dear friend of ours' place, who I think John and I met for the first time that day. I don't know if you met. It was that day?
Yeah, it was that day. Yeah, because we've been talking for years on Facebook, and we're like, why don't we just meet up? Let's do this. So.
Yeah, I wish I could say that was something that I could do with Andrew, but it's some states between us, and it would probably be me to have to travel and not Andrew. So
we are divided by a couple of 100 miles in terms of distance. I mean, so it would be a little bit different. I don't know. People have, I guess, a misconception of how large the United States actually is in terms of like distance, in terms of where people live from one another. Because in some countries, things are very not close together, but within driving distance. You know what I mean? Within reasonable traveling distance. Whereas if you want to get to one place and then one other significant place in the United States, it can take you days, depending on if you want to drive, if you want to take a plane, a train, walk. I don't know. If you're Forrest Gump, you can run, I guess.
I kept running.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one day will probably happen. I mean, if it wasn't for the pandemic or COVID, I think that would probably happen much sooner. Because remember, Stephen, you were getting married and stuff like that, and I was going to go down for your marriage, and then you had to postpone it. And then still happened in the middle of when things were going down. It's a lot better now, so who knows what will happen in the future. I mean, we got enough chasing labels. I see Steven like every single week anyway, so it's as if I'm there with him.
You're there.
Yeah, we just need to create a teleporter. Get on that the fly thing.
Make sure a fly doesn't get in. Yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but please, no Brundle flies here. I mean, it'd be great if we had like a faster way to get to people. Like, they tried to do high speed rail, and where you could get to like, I don't know, Boston to New York in an hour or something ridiculous like that. And it just never got funded because, politics are the way they are, and people fight over every little crumb of every little thing here. But who knows, perhaps one day. But yeah, we had John on very early on in our podcasting days, within like the first probably like 10 guests we had or something like that. And we were relatively new, and we were lucky enough to to have him on, and we were on your podcast as well.
Yeah,
we were on Indicator Cast.
Yeah,
for an episode.
Yeah, going for the bogey one, Humphrey Bogart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think I came on just me, I think, for an episode, didn't I?
Yeah, I think it was just yourself. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's just, it's already been 3 since we started that podcast, the Indicator one. So it's a blur. But
oh yeah, we do so many of these videos. I start to feel bad if I can't remember something about a conversation I had. I'm like,
at this point, it's kind of I'm glad someone is keeping a log of all the guests we have, of all the episodes we have, and all that stuff. It's all Steven, honestly. He does all of that heavy legwork. Because I would never be able to keep it in order.
I did the count the other day. I think we've interviewed like over 50 people now, 50 different people. So, this list here on our Facebook page is not even up to date. So it's more than that's on here. Thanks for shitting on me after being so nice.
Oh, okay.
You need to update it, Stephen.
You got it's good with the bad. The good with the bad. But this week we'll probably be talking about a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. Yeah,
we got a lot of good stuff. I mean, I don't know when you want to transition to that, Stephen.
A couple more things. A couple more things from my guys here. So when it came to the collecting, we'll go back over this with John. This is an update, but when did that collecting? What was the spark of the collecting part for you? Like, what was the loving of movies really early as well? Did that coincide, or did the collecting come later?
Well, my love of film came really early. I'm 43 now, but the very first film I remember watching when I was young was King Kong Lives. Down the street there was a video store in near where I live, and I remember the cover very well. That VHS cover of King Kong Lives. I don't know, for some reason, I think I mentioned it before in another show. It really attracted me, that cover, and I just thought, I should watch this. I really want to watch it. But then ever since watching King Kong Lives, I know it's a horrible film. It's terrible, don't get me wrong. But it's mainly for nostalgia. And ever since then, my love of film just grew more and more and more. And of course, the very first film I saw at the cinema was Tim Burton's Batman from 1989. And then, it just grew. But all I did was go to the video store all the time and rent. But I didn't start buying until I was like 15 or 16. And I bought so many VHS. But then in 1997, when DVD came out, that's when I started collecting DVD. And then 2007, Blu-ray came out, started collecting Blu-ray as well. And then I think another 10 years later, 4K came out. And then
are you holding on to everything, or are you getting rid of stuff as the transition?
There are some I do upgrade, and I do sell my doubles, my old editions. But certain titles I will keep multiple copies of. Like, for instance, John knows this very well. My all-time favorite movie is A Clockwork Orange from Kubrick, and I have literally every edition except the Laserdisc. That's the only one I'm hunting. I have VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K, but Laserdisc is the only one I need. And I got the Clockwork Orange set. All
right. So if anybody's out there, if you've seen one, if you have one you're willing to get rid of, there's a guy here that really wants it.
Oh, please let me know.
Yeah. Do you have the Clockwork Orange book?
Oh, I do have the book by Anthony Burgess. Yeah.
I guess it does fall in the realm of physical media.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to read that book for a class one time. I think it was like adaptations in film. We were just reading books and then watching their movie adaptations. And I had already seen A Clockwork Orange years ago, and it was the first time reading it. And the book is fascinating, different than the movie. For those of you interested, especially the ending is actually a lot different than the movie ending.
It sure was.
And so for those of you who are interested, who wonder if books are different than their movie counterparts, they oftentimes very much are. Very much are.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying it's quite difficult to read because it's in this colloquial language, and they do bring that across to the movie, but the book is more like very like the accents, and it's like another language. Really, it's quite fascinating, the book. So,
all right,
it was like, but the difference in Australia is we didn't study that book because I believe from 1973 until 2000, before Kubrick's death, the movie was never officially released. It was only screening weekends at midnight screenings at the local cinema in town, and you could only see it at midnight, Friday or Saturday night for like nearly 30 years. And that was when I first thought, because in Australia, this rating system is very harsh. Like Clockwork Orange is rated R18 plus. You have to be over 18 to watch it.
like an NC-17, pretty much.
Yeah, NC-17 American, R18 plus here in Australia, and when I turned 18, the first thing I did was go to that midnight screening, and I fell in love. And then that was it.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened in the UK. It wasn't banned. It was just, I think it was the request of Kubrick down here as well.
Yeah.
But
it was withdrawn, yes.
Withdrawn, yeah. I think that was at the request of Kubrick in the UK, but I'm not sure about it. But we had a similar thing. But anyway, that's another piece of history.
All right.
Yeah.
John, yourself, please update us about the love of where the love started and when did the collecting habit start? The big wall behind you. When did that start?
Very similar to Tony. It was mainly the video store days. I would go with my dad on weekends, and I was mainly horror was my main love when I was younger. That's kind of what got me into films. And one of the first ones I remember seeing on TV when I was maybe 9 or 8. I stayed up late, and Fright Night played, the original 1985 film. And from then I was like, wow, what is this? And I just like got obsessed by horror. So that's kind of where it started. And then just going to the video store and seeing all these tapes. And that was kind of my first memory, just seeing all these videos kind of lined up. And in Australia, it was quite interesting because we had labels that kind of had like the kind of unique like box art that kind of matched. It was quite unified. Like there was a label called Roadshow. Tony, you probably know. And Roadshows, they all matched, like a spines all matched on the shelf. And when I was younger, I was like, wow, that's really cool. And it kind of got me the idea of collecting. And then when video stores were eventually kind of throwing their tapes, I was going around. My dad was like, can you drive me around? We went around and I just buy like tons of tapes. So I had massive tape collection. And then when DVD came out, I started getting into DVDs. And that's when I started getting into more sort of, I guess you'd say, art house films, because there was a lot of good labels in Australia. Tony will know them as well, like Director's Suite. We had all these accent films. Like they were releasing like quite interesting films. That's where I discovered Bergman and all these really cool directors, and that's why I started getting a bit into the more art house. And then when I was, I guess, kind of, and I was buying those sort of locally. And then when I got into full-time work, I just went, all right, this is it. I'm going to start a collection, and I started collecting with Criterion and Arrow, and the obsession grew from there. So it's been a long journey from tape to Blu-ray and 4K. But it started with the video store mainly when I was younger. Yeah,
video store, movie theater. I think the movie theater is always the love of movies that starts there for me. I mean, like my parents had a VHS collection, but I think when my parents always sent me to went out to the movie theater, that's where the love really grew. Because it becomes important. It's like going to church. That's where I call it. When I tell people I'm going to the movies, they say I'm going to church.
Nice.
It's just it's a place meant to sit down and pay attention to films. Though that's changed over the years. It seems like people think it's a place to go and
go for
look at your phone and talk and
especially with horror films. Oh boy, they really piss me off, especially these teenagers. All they do is talk during horror movies and just go on their phone and goof around. Oh, it really irritates me.
Yeah.
What doesn't make sense to me is you spend tons of money to get into that place, and you want to waste your time. Like what you could have done talking and looking at your phone anywhere for free.
Yeah.
True. Like the last movie I went to, I saw Beau is Afraid at the cinema just recently, and that was rated, as I said, that was rated R18 plus, NC-17 equivalent to America. And I'm just grateful it was an actual intelligent adult audience there, no teenagers, because you had to be over 18 to watch it.
I would have been bored.
It was great. It was good. It was good to share. The movie is 3 hours long. I think that's also what turned off a lot of people. But to me, I don't care about length. To me, a movie is a movie. I love it. And Beau is Afraid is amazing, but definitely not for everybody. I probably that. So,
have you ever been to a movie theater and seen someone walk out in the middle of a movie theater and just never come back?
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. I went to see Darren Aronofsky's Mother in theaters, and there was two young, it was like a group of, I think, 3 like younger people. They weren't in they weren't teenagers, but they were probably slightly older, maybe college age. And they walked out in the middle of the movie and never came back. And as soon as I saw them walking out, I'm like, these people may walk out. And they did.
I've seen
I don't know if they went to it thinking they were going to see a Jennifer Lawrence film. I don't want to be that judgmental, but I assume that maybe that's what drew them.
I don't know what that means. What is a Jennifer Lawrence film?
Well, they're thinking like Hunger Games and
Games and all that,
and thinking, I don't know, whatever else she was doing at the time.
Oh boy,
and that's not
wrong.
the movie. that's not one of her typical films.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely wasn't. That was another one I saw that had one walkout, but I experienced a massive walkout in 2004. I'll give you that. I'll give you the quick story of that. It was on Ash Wednesday, 2004, and that's of course when Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ came out. I watched that opening night, and I saw it in Moore Park, like in an area in Sydney where it's the area near it is Bondi Junction, which is mainly a Jewish area. And I went and saw it. And during the middle sequence, the scourging sequence of Jesus, there was at least 50 walkouts. And when the movie ended, everyone was, if you've seen the movie, you know how brutal it is. It's very, very brutal to watch. And everyone's basically stunned. We were all getting up to leave. And this young teenager was standing behind a man, an elderly man, probably around mid-50s, 60s. I remember it clear like it was yesterday, had a yarmulke on his head, and he was Jewish. And literally, the young man punched the old Jewish man in the head, saying, see what your people did to our Lord. I thought, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Never experienced something like that since.
Only walking a punch out. Wow.
Walk out and a punch out. That was crazy. I will never forget that. But
wow.
My goodness.
The one I had was and like I said, don't get me wrong, I was going to say earlier, cinema is very important. Like I love the cinema. It's a different experience now. Like I said, when people are on iPads and phones, it's like, why are you here? That's why I liked a pre-phone era where, people just sit there and engage in the movie. But the one I saw, remember, was at the Sydney Film Festival. They played Lars von Trier's Antichrist down here.
Oh, boy.
And about half of the audience walked out during the beating scene where he's blood coming out. So that was quite interesting. And I stupidly took a date to that movie, and she never spoke.
Oh, wow. No.
Good choice, man.
Yeah,
great date movie.
Lars von Trier, let's go see this. And it was the third date, and she.
Oh, that was the test. It was a test. Yeah.
I guess that's the test.
You like this film?
I used to go to the movies every single week, so I used to see pretty much everything. So I would just see things with strangers very awkwardly. Like I saw Midsommar, Ari Aster's Midsommar with strangers, and that movie was just incredibly surreal and sexual.
It was
wild
and very unsettling.
Yeah. I mean, his newest film is. I still have to see it. I'm actually very excited for it.
It's good, but just give yourself 3 hours and
time and patience.
Time and patience. That's the best way to describe for you need to see for Beau is Afraid. Definitely time and patience.
Yeah. My I would say the most standout experience I've had when it came to a movie that I was in the movie for way too. I felt like I don't hate the movie, but it felt like I was in the movie way too long, and it was The Irishman. I saw The Irishman in the theater, and it was a packed theater, and that movie's 3.5 hours long, I think. And I was just like, it got to a point where I was counting. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like I love movies and I love seeing, and I don't mind long movies, but that movie, this is where I go on my he needs to think about editing his movies a little bit down. I think as the years have gone on, he's just gotten a little bit more like, it's hard to make movies. Okay, I'm leaving everything in. He's like, if I'm making movies and I'm finally gonna make the movie I want to make, it's gonna be 3+ hours.
Well, I mean, his newest film was supposed to be over 4 hours, and then he edited it down.
I know.
It's now cut down. It was originally 3 hours and 54 minutes, but now Killers of the Flower Moon is 3 hours. The final running time is 3 hours and 26. So technically 3 minutes shorter than The Irishman. So.
Yeah, I agree, Stephen. Irishman, it felt, it didn't have the energy. I felt the most.
It didn't have the energy. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Goodfellas, that's like a 3-hour film, but it flies by so far, and like you know what, it's over.
That's the thing with Scorsese. His films have this breakneck pace to them to where, like you were saying, they fly by so fast. Like Wolf of Wall Street, I remember seeing that.
Wolf of Wall Street
moved like lightning, like just quick and moved.
That's 3 hours or nearly. It's like
that was 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. And it's just like The Irishman didn't have that energy, like that punch. But I don't know, it was a different style. But
and then on top of that, of course the effects, the de-aging effects were just. I was like, dude, what the hell were you thinking? Like, I know he's not used to dealing with like effects like that. That's not really his forte. But then he got that Netflix money, and I was like, dude, man, you fucked up. Hopefully, it's one of them situations where I almost kind of hope they go back and fix it. But it is started out on Criterion. It's done. But we've gone on a Scorsese rant. I'm sorry. I got us down that pathway.
Well, he's been just in the news a lot lately. He's always on my mind. Anyway.
He's always, I'm always thinking about Scorsese films.
Yeah, I love Scorsese. Don't get me wrong. But
definitely.
I mean, we just had After Hours announced from Criterion.
After Hours just announced.
Like a week or two ago.
I love that.
And that's another one that flies by. Funny enough, Tony and I were lucky to catch that at a screening in Sydney.
Yeah, we did.
And it was a great seeing with the crowd. It was really fun. Yeah. But that's a film that just a lot of energy, a lot of fun. But
yeah, absolutely,
most definitely. So, all right, well, let's not wait off any longer. We got a lot of stuff that was announced this week from many a different label. So let's get into it. Let's start with the Flicker out. Few little one-offs here that we don't have a lot to say about them because they're kind of like either too much to talk about or I don't know that we have a lot to say about them. But let's start with Flicker Alley. We got a Laurel and Hardy Year One Blu-ray that goes into some of their silent films from 1927. So, Flicker Alley is somebody that primarily, I think, kind of focuses on a lot of silent era stuff. Of course, when we talked with Eddie Muller, he talked about his work with them with the Film Foundation. Any Laurel and Hardy fans here?
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, this box set, this edition here, I believe is 2 discs, and it has, I want to say it has about 13 short films or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm just maybe making that
it up. No.
I am probably making that up, but it does have one.
Looks about right. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have one from 1921, which is much, much early on in their career. And this is Laurel and Hardy Year One. That's the subtitle. Newly restored, 1927 silent. There is one film here from 1928. So, it's within that range. What I find most fascinating about this is you can pair it up with, I think, another Laurel and Hardy box set that came out. Yeah, it was the definitive restoration that was done by Kip Parker Films that came out in 2020. So you can kind of pair it up with that, and you've got yourself like a lot of Laurel and Hardy, because that set that was put out by Kip Parker has 21 films in it, and those films are from 1927 to 1937. So you're getting like a nice collection of Laurel Hardy stuff, all right next to one another. So that's really, really cool. I love Flicker Alley's work. They're so obscure and just so, so unique. You don't really hear a lot about them. They also did another Laurel and Hardy release back in 2021, which has their stuff from 1914 to 1926. So once again, it's like They did the same thing kind of with Charlie Chaplin's work, where they had these different sets, the mutual film, the estimate comedies.
Kino did that,
yeah, and Flicker Alley did some, and then someone did others. And then
Kino and Eureka kind of did a lot of
Kino. Well, they did the Buster Keaton sets. The Chaplin stuff was done by others, but the Buster Keaton stuff was also done in a similar manner, where you would get certain eras or certain films kind of all in a row. And for a collector with kind of like an OCD type of situation going on, I just love that continuity on the shelf. Just really, really love it. And these are coming, and this one specifically has an audio commentary for each film, which is great, and a couple of other features that are on here as well. So it's probably a nice little package. Also, the restorations, I think, are the most important things, especially for movies of that era, which could be in whatever condition they're in.
Right. The other one off I got here is Synapse. Has got the 1986 film Trick or Treat. Don't be confused with the more recent Trick or Treat film, which is that horror anthology, which is I love that film. I have not seen this Trick or Treat, but it is getting a 4K. And this is the film that's stars a bunch of rock stars, I believe. Gene Simmons, Ozzy Osbourne. Anybody know anything about Trick or Treat?
I saw it many years ago. It's good. It's fun. It is rock metal themed, 80s themed, but it's a really fun movie, and it does a lot with the sort of backmasking of music and messages. And it's been a while since I've seen it, but they're only in it for a short time. Ozzy Osbourne, Gene Simmons. I remember it's like cameos, and we did have a local DVD down here, and it had them on the front cover: Ozzy Osbourne, Gene Simmons, but they're not in it. But it's just a fun 80s horror film, and like a bit of supernatural horror. But it's been, I saw it when I was a teenager, so it's been a while. So when I saw this announced, I was excited because this is one that's been up in limbo in terms of rights, because people thought that Vestron may have owned it, Lionsgate, so they were like, oh, is it coming to the Vestron series? And I actually watched the announcement when the Spooky Picture Show guys announced this, Michael Felcher and them, and it's going to be, I think, a collaboration with Michael Felcher's Red Shirt Pictures, so it's a bit of a combination of Synapse and him as well. So it's I'm really excited for this release because Synapse do amazing work. So very, very keen.
Yeah, they're a label that doesn't put out a ton, but when they do, it's usually pretty solid. So Tony, anything to add?
I have not seen that version of Trick or Treat, but as a metal fan, rock fan, I love who's in it so far. I definitely want to watch it ASAP. So I'm looking forward to this release. Sure.
Sounds like a fun, easy watch to me. So I definitely want to check it out. Andrew, anything else?
No, nothing on it.
All right. Well, let's move on to Kino. Let's get Kino done.
We
only got a few releases from them.
Throwing a little curveball.
Not really.
I guess that's not.
It's not really
not true at all.
Nothing baseball oriented about this.
No, something a little sports oriented, I guess.
It is
the first movie up here is that Money from Home, starring Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis? Another kind of Jerry Lewis comedy. And it looks like the dude is that horse racing? This poster is driving me crazy.
it's a little nuts. Yeah. It's got floating heads. It's got dude flying towards caricature looking thing. Yeah. So Money from Home, 1953, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. I don't see anything about the description without going to the IMDb to know what it's about.
Yeah, I do have the description here.
Okay, cool.
When Herman promises the mob to fix a racing horse in order to pay off his debts, he selects his veterinarian cousin as a patsy to help him, but things go awry. Of course they go, because it's a Jerry Lewis comedy. Things are always going awry.
And Dean Martin. That's it. Once again, I'm figuring out another you know how like last week, which somebody in our Facebook group corrected me. You're talking about the courtship of Betty's father, and I said that Scrooge referenced that movie, but really it was the reference to the show. I forgot to even mention that the courtship of Eddie's father was then turned into a television series. A show, which is what he saw, the character from Scrooge saw. But in this case here, I think when I hear Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, I would think of Remember the Titans, where Denzel's they're waiting at the bus to get ready to come on the bus, and he starts, Jerry Bertier starts giving crap to Denzel's character, and he's like, you're a comedian, huh? He's like, he's Jerry Lewis, you're Dean Martin. And he like does the whole thing.
That's a reference.
Once again, I know. It's just that's how my mind works. It just shit like that pops in.
I feel you. I know exactly what you're talking about. But let's move on from that, Jerry. Unless our guest had something to say about Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
Fans.
I love Jerry Lewis. I grew up watching Jerry Lewis as well, especially with Nutty Professor, Cinderella, The Bellboy, so many movies with Jerry Lewis. But Martin and Lewis were always a great team. And I know Imprint recently released a box set of Jerry Lewis and Columbia.
Yep.
Those movies were okay, not great, but it's good to have a lot of Jerry Lewis in your collections. But this one, the selling point is it's in 3D as well. So that would be quite fun to watch.
If you got a 3D TV,
if
cool.
you got a 3D TV, yes.
Yeah. I was just about to mention, good point, Tony. A friend of ours has an amazing 3D projector setup, and we go to his place and watch 3D movies, and it's quite an experience, especially when the 3D Film Archive guys do it. It's top work, the depth, the field, it's amazing. So I don't know if this had a release before, but a friend of ours, Tone, was very excited. He said, "Oh, look, I think this is like first time it's in 3D for home videos." So I don't know much about the film, but the 3D part, I'm very excited to see it in 3D. So. Yeah, these guys do great work. 3D Film Archive, it's really incredible. Yeah, unfortunately, TV don't have it anymore. But yeah, you can get on a projector.
All right. What do we got next, Andrew?
We have a western starring Charlton Heston from 1968, and that is Will Penny.
Oh, sounds cool. I guess. No, I'm just kidding.
Hollywood legend Charlton Heston stars as Will Penny, an aging cowboy on a hard luck streak. He's out of work, out of money, and staked out to die in the desert by a gang of ruthless outlaws. Bad way to be. Bad way to be.
I love the tag here. He was a peaceful man, but he could kill.
Nice.
He was a hard man, but he could smile. He was a shy man, but he could love. Okay. All right. How many more of these we're gonna do?
I know exactly. Like, how many more superlatives can you get?
Please.
This is getting a 4K scan from the original 35 millimeter elements. I mean, I'm a sucker for Westerns, so I'm not exactly.
I'm a Western fan. I'm like an iffy Charlton Heston fan. Like,
you know what? That is kind of the caveat for me.
Yeah.
It is directed by Tom Grease, who did 100 Rifles, Breakout, and Breakheart Pass. I know are both films starring Charles Bronson that were also put out by Kino. So I guess they've got his filmography well in hand. And I do like both of those films. So I guess if you have a Tom Grease marathon going on, you may want to get Will Penny.
That's an obscure one there. My favorite Charlton. This is going to be controversial, but actually it'll be appropriate for me. My favorite Charlton Heston performance is his.
Oh, I know what it's going to be.
Yeah, my very very small performance in Wayne's World 2.
I knew it.
Where he pops into frame and he takes over. He's like, I know this is a small part, but can we get somebody better than this? And then Charlton Heston pops in and does the one. Gordon Street.
The gas station attendant.
I once knew a girl on Gordon Street. Yeah, that's my favorite performance of his.
No Planet of the Apes. No Ben-Hur.
Sure.
I get it.
A close second. Yeah.
No Touch of Evil, where he's playing a Mexican politician with no sense of an accent.
You're saying all the second place ones. But guys, anything on this film or just Charlton Heston?
John, you go ahead.
I like Charlton Heston films. El Cid is probably one of my favorites of his. Really great film. I don't know much about this, and look, I like westerns too, and it seems like Kino's doing a good job of just bringing us westerns that kind of flown under my radar. So I'm quite excited for this, and I might pick it up if it's at a good price. So I'm keen on this one.
Yeah, wait for one of the 15 sales during the year. You make it,
I love westerns as well, and I have not seen this one, but Charlton Heston, you can't go wrong. My favorite performance with Charlton Heston will always be Moses from the Ten Commandments. That will always be my favorite.
All right. Yeah, that's a pretty epic one there.
Yeah, and for other actors in this film, I mean Donald Pleasance, Lee Majors, Bruce Dern, Ben Johnson, Slim Pickens.
Man. Another Scrooge reference. Lee Majors.
It's like everyone of the time is kind of in this movie.
Yeah. All right.
So moving on from there, let me scroll up to the next one is Duet for One, starring Julie Andrews, Alan Bates, and the late great Max von Sydow. I tried to watch this movie, I just could not find it anywhere. So I don't have much to say about it. I really wanted to see it. That's all I can really say.
Obviously, there's two people being watched by one person. That's obviously happening. That's what it says in the title. I mean, I'm just wondering which combination here.
Yeah, it says here the iconic Julie Andrews, appropriate for Mary Poppins Sound of Music, takes on the most challenging role of her career. Stephanie Anderson, a world-famous violinist, suddenly afflicted with multiple sclerosis, obviously a very serious health issue, forced to watch helplessly while her talent ebbs away. Stephanie discovers that her marriage is crumbling too when her composer-conductor husband, Alan Bates, escapes into an affair with his secretary. What a bastard. Convinced that her life is now worthless, Stephanie drifts into a world of bitterness and isolation, ignoring the advice of her psychiatrist, portrayed by Max von Sydow, and continuing on her self-destructive course. Alone and desperate, she finally has no choice but to confront and conquer her despair. It sounds like an incredibly dramatic film. Serious film, especially for someone like Julie Andrews, who I'm assuming we all kind of view her in more lighter roles, like I just said, Mary Poppins, things like that. But of course, dealing with a serious health issue, especially one affecting her, and I'm assuming entire identity as a violinist.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a nerve, being able to control your muscles.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've seen this happen, I think, with many people over time who are afflicted with certain medical or health issues, it kind of strips away from them. I'm thinking most recently, and I think they're having a 60 Minutes interview or something with Michael J. Fox, who, of course, his Parkinson's is getting worse and worse over time. And, of course, I think many of us grew up watching Michael J. Fox, whether it be his television work or movie work, and kind of seeing him, drift away over time is something that is very sad and whatnot.
Yeah. It sounds like a really kind of probably one of them films that she wanted to do, probably because at that point of her career she was probably kind of looked at as only doing one type of role, maybe. So this this would be nice to see, just to see how good the performance is. I love a movie that's centered on one really great performance. Any interest in this, guys?
Definitely for me, I'm really interested in this one. As you said, Stephen, with she wanted to do a different role that was challenging for her, which I agree, because I believe for a long time she worked with her husband Blake Edwards at the time. She did Victor Victoria, SOB, 10, and Darling Lily. They're like mainly comedy, but Darling Lily was a musical set in the war. But I think she wanted to do something quite dramatic, and I believe this, from the sound of the synopsis, it does sound like her most dramatic role yet. I don't think I have them, and I'm actually really intrigued to watch this film. Definitely.
Awesome, John. Anything to add?
Yeah, same what Tony said. I'm intrigued to see this too, because to see her in a more dramatic role, and it sounds quite a serious drama. I'm very intrigued. So once again, Kino pulling a rabbit out of the hat. I haven't heard of this, but I'll definitely check it out. Absolutely.
All right. Next
next we have something with I'm assuming a bit of a different tonal shift here. I believe these are two French comedies, both starring Gerard Depardieu, in La Chèvre and Le Compère. And these are early, not early Gerard Depardieu, but early 80s Gerard Depardieu films. Le Chèvre is from 1981 and Le Compère is from 1983. Looks like they're both getting 2K restorations from Gaumont, which is that French studio, which I'm pretty sure people have seen their logo come up at the beginning of some Blu-ray somewhere where they've had their hands in it. So these are 2 films well, not produced by them, restored by them, and they're both French comedies. Okay. I'm kind of interested. Yeah,
I mean, I would be interested in checking them out. I don't know about a blind buy, but I'm not. I don't. Comedy is tough for me when it comes to other languages. It can sometimes be hard to translate that because when you're trying to pay attention to reading the words and you miss some of the comedy, like physical comedy cues, it can be sometimes difficult to get that, get some of that stuff, get the full comedy effect from a language you're not used to, that you don't know, that so, but yeah, I mean, I'm always going to try. Any interest in this, guys?
Well, as you said, Stephen, with foreign language comedy, it can be hit or miss. But these 2 French films, I believe they're both written by Francis Weber, and Francis Weber is one of the best comedy writers in French cinema. But of course, probably his most well known is the original Birdcage, La Cage aux Folles. And but yeah, I have not seen those 2, and but I just wanted to put a point here for a sec regarding foreign language in comedy. Being a Greek person, I've seen a lot of Greek comedies. They're not really that funny. The only time everybody laughs during Greek comedies is when they use the swear words in Greek. It always makes them laugh for some reason. Yeah. Don't ask me why. It's just it's something so silly, but it actually doesn't. It actually is effective if you hear this foul language being said in the Greek language. It actually does make you laugh. But all in all, I don't think it's that. I don't think Greek comedy is that great.
But how did America do with Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Oh, that's My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That was a hit because it was translated properly, because it was actually it actually made sense, especially with the scene where the brothers trying to make a fool out of John Corbett's character. Orea Vizia, that means nice breasts, instead of saying hello and all that, trying to do a full joke. It worked. But,
okay, all right.
Yeah, it worked.
I just wanted to know if it was accurate. It was
very accurate. Yes.
Okay, good.
Very accurate.
Good. Awesome. John, anything to add on French comedies?
Yeah. Once again, they can translate differently depending on the culture. Definition of comedy can be different. Like there's, I was going through a phase of Italian comedies of the 50s and 60s, and they're really quite grim and dramatic, and just quite a statement on the political time. They have a bit of humor, but they don't really come across. These ones, I have seen one of the films. This came out on a DVD box set in Australia, and it's funny. There was a 3rd film called Les Fugitives, which I think is the Fugitives. I don't know if that's part of a trilogy or something, and it's missing on here. But I just checked my my Blu-ray.com profile, and I do have the DVD of it. So it's been a while. I can't remember much about them, but I'd be keen to revisit these on Blu-ray. So I like I said, I like comedies, especially crime comedies, if they have a good mixture of suspense and comedy. So I'd be keen to give these a revisit.
Awesome. Well, I think we got one more left.
Yeah, I just want to say there is a kind of not miscommunication, but a kind of lost in translation vibe when it comes to comedies, specifically dark comedies with other countries. I remember seeing the movie Yorgos Lanthimos' Dogtooth, and then being completely not devastated by it, but hit. His films are heavy films, and then I would go on Letterboxd afterward, and people kept saying dark comedy, dark comedy, dark comedy. I'm like, I didn't laugh once. This was a harsh film.
I was going to say that is a perfect example of a filmmaker who has mostly done comedy, and it's like it is hard for people to understand the comedy in his films, because they are shrouded in these really heavy subject matters, or very heavy situations that are not, and his dialogue is a very the way I always describe his dialogue is that his characters say what exactly is on their mind. They
even the Lobster, which is supposed to be a dark comedy. I'm like, this dystopian reality is kind of horrifying. I'm not.
I mean,
I don't think I'm
I mean, there's
supposed to laugh at
literally a
this.
scene where he, I let and they are funny movies. Most of his movies are pretty funny. Like even especially The Lobster. Like when he pops out and he's like, they're in the woods and he pops out from behind the tree. He's like, yeah, I was just over here masturbating. Like just like like it's like what?
Yeah, like it's uncomfortable laughter. Something like American Psycho is something I laugh at because of the uncomfortableness of it.
Hmm.
You know, just the absurdity of the violence, the absurdity of the character of Patrick Bateman and his mind and the way it operates and what he is trying to say about 1980s society and whatnot. And you can't help but laugh at it because it's truly horrifying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like Andrew, I agree with you with Lanthimos. Like his Dogtooth, I was with you. I didn't laugh once. I was highly disturbed by the whole film. But I loved The Lobster. The Lobster was one of the most original films I've ever seen. I absolutely adored it. But then to me, the movie I find funny from Lanthimos was The Favorite. Yeah. That I found hilarious. But then, of course, my all-time favorite Lanthimos film will always be The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I know a lot of people hated it.
Yeah.
A lot of people loathed it because it was dark and bleak and depressing. But my goodness, if he wants to do a dark movie, he knows how to make one.
Yeah, that's a cerebral film that really grabs you, and you don't know. You can't make really heads or tails out of it, but it's so disturbing. Colin Farrell is a phenomenal actor who's just role after role now is really fantastic.
Amazing film. And that creepy kid eating spaghetti. I won't forget that.
I can't eat spaghetti anymore. It's just
disturbing. I was talking to Colin Farrell, mate, and that was another awkward sort of silence in the cinema. I saw that. But yeah, great film.
But moving on, we have a film here that I think, Stephen, you've actually seen it, and it's Twisted, starring Ashley Judd, Samuel L. Jackson, and Andy Garcia. So, Stephen, you got to tell me about it. And what made you want to see it, actually?
Well, it seemed like as every week we have to fit in the movies, and it just seemed like a movie that was going to be easy for me to be able to watch while a baby was in the room. So I put Twisted on, and yeah, it's honestly it feels like it will fit in nice. It would have fitted nicely with one of them Imprint neo noir sets. It's really very much got that. It kind of in a certain angle, it's kind of got a giallo-ness to it. But the film is about Ashley Judd, who's this female cop who is trying to make a play to become a homicide detective, and thing about her, her time as a cop, she's a very open woman. She has sex on the regular. And there's nothing wrong with that. She ends up having a lot of sex with like other cops, like other people in the so what ends up happening is as she's about to get promoted, people that she's had relations with start to die. Other people that she's had sex with start to die. Her new partner is played by Andy Garcia. Of course it is, because he's a cop in like every movie he's in. It feels like
him and Ray Liotta are always like police officers.
Some scummy kind of detective, or in some way there's some kind of cop in some way. And so they're getting to know each other, but it just keeps becoming harder and harder to not make her a suspect, because of course everybody that she has had sex with in recent past is now being killed off. So they start looking at her, but there's some twists and turns in there. It definitely plays, you could kind of say it plays a little bit. It's not as intelligent, I think, on a revisit. Like, I think we could go back and look at this movie and pick it apart and start pulling out things about, feminist things and about how hard it is to be a female in that environment. But, I was going to say it kind of compares with that movie Blue Steel,
where it came to my head.
Yeah. You could kind of pair it with a movie like that. It has a very similar vibe. But I think Catherine Bigelow does a lot more with her film in Blue Steel than this does. This one's a little bit more schlocky, I would say. It has some of the sex, more of the sex in there, less of the noir element, and less of the kind of substance that you would want from this story. But it's an easy watch. It's not bad. It's not great. It's in the middle. It's like a 3-star movie.
Yeah, it is directed by Philip Kaufman, who directed The Right Stuff. He also directed I think the 1978 version of The Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yep.
We just talked about a movie he directed.
Yeah, we just talked about a movie that he did. But this was actually his last feature film that he directed. After this, he did the TV movie Hemingway and Gellhorn, and then he hasn't done anything since 2012 in terms of directing. I think he did a lot more with writing. Like I think he worked on like Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff like that. The Outlaw Josie Wales. I think he wrote the screenplay for that. So yeah, he's someone I've known of. The Right Stuff is a phenomenal film. I'm surprised that hasn't gotten a 4K yet. I feel like it's going to happen soon. Like I'm surprised Warner Brothers didn't do that for their 100th anniversary that they're celebrating now.
They could because this year is the 40th anniversary of The Right Stuff, so it could come out. He's hoping.
Yeah. It's time.
I was going to say with that show was a huge hit that For All Mankind. So there is interest, based on the subject matter. That was a huge hit. So why aren't, it should get a re-release. Definitely should.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely probably the crowning jewel of his career as a director. So it'd be nice to get that out on a good edition. But yeah, Twisted, it's good. It's a solid little fun watch. It's not anything fantastic. Ashley Judd was kind of like doing everything at this point in in the 90s. She was doing a lot of kind of hot and steamy thrillers.
This was 2004. But
okay, well,
I gotta get you.
I was wrong by 4 years. But during this time period, you know what I'm saying? Like she did exactly double Jeopardy. I've talked about A Time to Kill the other day. She's not the star of that movie, but she's in the movie. Not a lot of stuff like that. So I think that's it for Kino this week.
That is it.
They've been a little bit slower lately. I feel like it's gone from 10 releases a week to like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think I skipped over one by accident. I did. I skipped over The White Buffalo with Charles Bronson. Just because they seemingly put out every Charles Bronson film from the 1970s now.
So just go look at his IMDb.
Yeah, I mean, and this film is I think it's this is another one from I want to say it's from the same director of one of the films we've talked about before, but it's Charles Bronson. Two of the West's most legendary figures search for the demon buffalo that haunts them both. They call Wild Bill Hickok, portrayed by Charles Bronson, is one of the people on a soul search for this mystical creature. I'm curious about this because they've just been putting out so much of his work. This is directed by J. Lee Thompson, who directed The Guns of Navarone, Cape Fear, and Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law, which was a 1980s film starring Charles Bronson. So that's the connection that I was making. I think the film also stars Jack Warden, Slim Pickens, once again's in here, John Carradine, and Kim Novak. What a cast! What a cast for this film.
Yeah, they keep putting out all the Bronson just because of the OCD. You got to get them all.
I think they just got all of his movies in one of these deals that they've made.
Not all of them.
It could have been the Paramount deal, or it could have been MGM. I think it's MGM or something like that. I know that Indicator has put out a couple of the same films that Kino's put out. Breakheart Pass, I think they've done, as well as a couple of other ones. I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Indicator guy's here. He knows.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I should ask them.
John, you're the Indicator guy.
This one hasn't. Yeah, they haven't done White Buffalo. They've done a few Bronsons, but like Breakout and Rachi Papers, but not this one. So yeah, definitely. But it's funny. I want to mention this title. I've seen it. It's a great film. They actually use a huge practical buffalo, and it's a pretty amazing film in terms of the special effects. And it's Bronson in his sort of Western phase. Really fun. But they announced it, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I have this, and I went to my shelf, and Kino did release it many years ago in a bare bones release. So this is a re-release with a slipcover, new scan, extras. So I don't mind if they're doing that, if they're giving them upgrades. But yeah, they did release it before, but this looks like a much better edition. So, but yeah, it's a fun film. So recommend it too.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's move on over to Mondo Macabro. let's hit that. They got 4 releases here.
Yeah, they were the like the first slate of the week, really.
Yeah.
They were from early on in the week. And I will tell you this, Steven, we talk about Vinegar Syndrome here, we talk about Severin, how hard it is to find those films. Mondo Macabro takes it another level in terms of finding these movies.
Yeah.
Some of these movies I couldn't even look up on IMDb or Letterboxd because they were so obscure, and it's just unreal. And I honestly
probably because they're under a different name, maybe, or something.
Could be they're under several names. Could be, and they're just so like underground types of films, and even to find these films to watch, impossible. I was only able to find the first film here. The first film being The Night of the Executioner. I guess I'll just list them all. Night of the Executioner, The Fear. There's a double feature here called The Unquiet Death, and then / The Broken Mirror. I believe, those are 2 different films. Yes. The Unquiet Death is listed as both the Unquiet Death and Unquiet Death. You look up either of those, I couldn't find either of them, either of those names. Next is another double feature, The Girl Can't Stop, and then Ravishing Danny. And those are the releases from Mondo. I'm not missing any, am I, Steven?
No, you're good. The one that I was the most interested, I of course didn't get a chance to watch any of these, but The Fear is the one that really stands out to me.
I looked for that. And that's a Greek film actually from the 60s.
I knew there was a reason we brought Tony on. It's more Greek stuff.
I guess, to be honest, a lot of Greek film doesn't get released really.
That's true.
Yeah. But I did get to see The Night of the Executioner. I think these are, The Night of the Executioner is getting a 4K restoration, and the reason I think I got to see this because it's a Paul Naschy film, and there's been a lot of his stuff that's been released over the last couple of years. There's 2-volume Paul Naschy volumes collections from Shout Factory that they've released, and plus I think from other labels as well. But this is one of his, I guess, later films. I think this is actually his last like fully completed film. And this came out, I think, in 1992. He had worked, he had done other films after this and whatnot, but I don't think any of them were really completed. I think they were all kind of unfinished works. At least that's what I was reading. I could be wrong on that. So those of you who are more Paul Naschy experts will actually know a lot better than me. But this is a rather rough, kind of edgy, brutal film to watch. It's Paul Naschy's version of Death Wish. It centers around a man who portrayed by Paul Naschy, who I think is celebrating his 50th birthday, and then intruders break into his house and rape and kill his wife and daughter, and then he goes on a vigilante vengeance rampage to avenge their deaths, and that's the premise of the movie. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That sequence, which happens very early on in the movie, is rather disturbing, as the one in Death Wish was, and as all of them are. But this one, the whole aesthetic of the film is low budget, gritty, dirty. It's just it has that grimy feel of like a B or C movie, like a grindhouse film. And this is coming with an audio commentary plus a few interviews. So this is the only one I got to see, but I know, Steven, you really want to see The Fear.
Yeah, I do. It sounds pretty great. And as a young female student living in Athens, returns to her family's large farm in a remote Greek countryside, she starts to feel the tensions that lie repressed under the apparently tranquil rural setting. Her father and mother are trapped in a loveless marriage, and her half-brother, Enthidius, seems even more of a brooding and dangerous figure than ever before. Anna's only real friend is a mute servant girl. I could keep going, but it's a long thing. But I don't know. It just seems like one of them like depressing movies that I love to watch. I know you love to watch depressing movies, Andrew.
I do. It just seems like existential crises, oppression, feeling of lost youth. I mean, these are all things that I gravitate towards in film because they keep coming up over and over again over the generations. I've also really wanted to see this as well. Fear, and it says here, Fear was the third and final film made by director Kostas Medesoukas, and it was screened at the Berlin Film Festival and was widely sold around the world. However, due to a series of problems, the director never completed another feature. So this director only made 3 films.
Okay. Well, now there's going to be a fight to get all 3 of them.
I guess so.
Now that we know this. But
well,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it could be under the Greek title. If you can't find the English language title, try and find the Greek one. It's called Phobos. That's how you say fear in Greek, Phobos. That if it's there, it's there. But I have heard of this movie. I have not seen it. And Manusakis is he's made some interesting films, but this one apparently is his masterpiece. And from what I've just read, it does sound like a typical depressing Greek movie. like a mother and father trapped in a loveless marriage, as back in the day, most marriages in the Greek culture were arranged. So that does happen, and it does look good. I really am looking forward to this. Is probably one of the I haven't got many macabre movies in my collection, but this one I'm definitely going to get. I really can't. This one does look good.
Yeah, I might do a blind buy on this one just to take. And it's one. If I get the limited edition red case, somebody's going to want to buy it if I don't like it. So
I do like the red cases.
Yeah. Anything to add, John?
Yeah, no, this is a great slate. I love Mondo Macabre and what they do. Jared's a great guy. You've had him on before your show.
Yeah.
Whatever they release, I trust. Like, it's just they've got such a good taste. And the Nashi one, that's one I've always wanted to see, but it's quite a rare film. And you're right, Andrew. Some of his later ones weren't really complete, or they the other one they released, Howl of the Devil, that had a lot of issues with not being finished in terms of sound and sync. So Nashi kind of lost control towards the end, the older he got. But I want to see this execution one. Sounds amazing. But yeah, with Mondo, I'm Mondo complete. It started with De Fan, where they did the limited red case, and I will give this a go. And I've been addicted to Mondo ever since. So I always shoot Jared a message before it goes up. I'm like, hey, I'm going to place an order with a few other friends. Is that okay? He's like, yeah, sure. So he lets me do like a bit of a group buy to Australia because I would save on the postage. But what Mondo do? I'm going through their Bollywood set right now, which is incredible. And yeah, it's really good. So Tony, if you want to get on the fear, we can place an order.
Please do. Thank you.
Please, that shipping.
But it helps. It helps buy with some friends. But yeah, no, these look great. Definitely.
Awesome. Anything else to add, Andrew, to any of these other ones? The double features.
Other than that, I couldn't find them. No.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
these have all been. Obviously they've all been restored from original camera negatives or from some type of elements. I'm just reading that down here. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on over to Eureka.
Sounds good.
All right. So first off, let's start off with the update. I think we have an update on the Andre Zolowski set. It did get, I believe, moved back
to July.
Yeah, I was anticipating that one because I actually think I'm gonna grab this one, but I think it got moved back. I think they were having some issues with getting the restorations not restorations finished up, but I think some of the features done. Maybe anybody heard anything about that? Remember?
I believe the restoration of the devil has some.
That was it. You're right.
No, but it was. Yeah, they got there was it a color timing issue? The colors were wrong.
Yeah.
And they had actually restored them years ago, but they lost that copy of the movie and they had the old one, which was wrong, according to the cinematographer. And now they've got to go back and recolor it, I believe, to make it right. So that seems to be the holdup. And I'm glad they caught it.
Yeah,
I'm glad
it's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Eureka, like that, they've always been a quality company. If there's something like they barely have any recalls, they're a pretty good company in terms of they don't rush things. Yeah, they don't rush things out the door like other labels. Like, we've got to get this out. But yeah, so I pre-ordered this. Yeah, I think February or something. So I don't mind waiting. I'm happy to.
Oh yeah,
yeah, amazing.
But Andrew, I know you've at least checked out one of these films.
I did. So the first thing we have here is actually a double feature of 2 movies that came out in the same year, Rich and Famous and Tragic Hero. They are, a first film and then a sequel to that film. These films have Chow Yun-fat is in both of these films. Andy Lau, I believe, is at least in the first film that I saw. You can actually watch both of these on YouTube right now if you want to. The Rich and Famous one that I found on there, the only one I've really found on there, the subtitles weren't the best. They were just kind of YouTube generated subtitles, so they were kind of like direct translations. So the things they were saying didn't quite make sense when you translate them directly to English. But the one I found for Tragic Hero looked like just like someone uploaded a DVD copy with proper English subtitles that are on the DVDs. And this is kind of like a crime drama type of thing going on here. So the first film centers around they're brothers, but one's adopted, but they're brothers. One is young and the other one is Kwok. Kwok is portrayed by Andy Lau. And then Chow Yun-fat plays this gangster that they end up working for over a period of time. And they have this kind of interesting relationship where the Kwok character is the favorite when it comes to the Chow Yun-fat character, and then the young is kind of jealous of that favoritism, and he's got a kind of a chip on his shoulder, and he's kind of like the black sheep of this quote-unquote family. And there's also a sister involved, but she's not quite in the film a lot. So you get this kind of rivalry going on. You have a lot of gangster things going on. The film has some comedic moments as well, great action sequences, a lot of that great 80s Hong Kong just bullet gunfight type action where like it doesn't look like anybody ever reloads because their guns have unlimited bullets in them, I guess. Think of like The Killer, think of like those types of movies. Coincidentally, this movie came out the year after A Better Tomorrow, which was the John Woo film that really put Chow Yun-fat on the map. So Chow Yun-fat was like super huge at the time, and he did a bunch of films in 1987. And I think Tragic Hero came out like 3 months after the first film came out, and it's kind of a continuation of the first film a few years later in their timeline. But I rather enjoyed the first film I watched, Rich and Famous. It's a bit of a jumbled mess of a movie when it comes to plot and characters, but I ended up getting engrossed in what was going on. I do recommend this to people. It is a Golden Harvest double feature. Eureka's doing Golden Harvest, 88 Films, Arrow, even Shout Factor jumped on the Golden Harvest train now. So these movies are coming out fast and furious now.
Awesome. Anything else? Anybody seen any of these other films here?
I haven't, no.
No, I haven't seen these two. And like I said, I like Chow Yun-fat and a lot of his films. But yeah, these two flew under my radar. So I'll be glad to watch them. I'm definitely getting the set. I've already ordered it. So yeah, I'm keen to check it out. So yeah, love Hong Kong cinema. So yeah, it's really cool.
And then we have another one here that's
Yes.
Golgo 13.
Yeah. This is a first adaptation of a manga series that was, I think, then adapted later on into an anime series in 2008 to 2009 that ran for 50 episodes. But this movie came out in 1973. It's the first adaptation of this popular manga, I believe, and I think there's been subsequent ones after that. Yeah, I kind of really wanted to check this out. I had to choose when it came to time running out what I wanted to watch. I ended up choosing Rich and Famous just by happenstance. But this is one I definitely want to check out. Yeah, it's getting a new 2K restoration. It's getting a brand new interview, and it's getting a new video piece. And I think the artwork's done by Tony Stella.
I was gonna say I really like the art on this one, so it makes sense. It's Tony did it. But
the Zulawski set is kind of the same as we've been talking about.
Yeah,
it's got the 3 films in it. Third Part of the Night, The Devil, and then On the Silver Globe.
All right, let's move on. What's that?
I'm keen on Golgo 13. I like that film a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ken. Yeah, Takanura, the director. The actor as well. But yeah, it was. You're right. It's one of the first adaptations of a manga, one really early one. So very keen on this set. I have an old DVD, so this is a nice welcome upgrade. So yeah, I just want to point out it's a really good film.
Awesome.
What's interesting is I was thinking of like when I think of adaptations of manga, I'm thinking more modern. But I remember that Lone Wolf and Cub is an adaptation of a manga, and that was, you know, around that time frame. So they were doing adaptations back then.
Yeah, really early ones as well, and people don't seem to realize. But yeah, there's a lot, you know, from this era that, you know, were early mangas. So yeah, there's quite a few, and I just hope that they keep bringing out more of these, you know, 70s Japanese films, because that's a personal love of mine, as that sort of era of cinema. So yeah, it's good to see Eureka's, you know, at the forefront of it. Definitely.
Fantastic. Let's move on over to our One Fun City edition announcement here. We knew it was coming eventually. We just didn't know what was going to be the substance of the set. But we get in I love the first Primetime Panic set, because I think, you know, TV films are not really. Kino has been doing pretty good about releasing a TV film every once in a while, but for the most part, TV films kind of get neglected. And Fun City when they put out Primetime Panic, I loved all three. I pretty much loved all three of the films. I really thought they were all really fun. They had a lot of, you know, a lot of times these films have like big stars in them that, you know, might not have been big stars at the time, but they kind of, this is an early role for them, or, you know, but in this one, we get 3 films. We have The Death of Richie, Incident at Crest Ridge, and The Seduction of Gina, which I thought maybe was going to be like a prequel to the Gina movie that was put out by the partner label. No, no, but I think me and Andrew both saw all 3 of these films.
Yeah, they're all streaming on Tubi. They're all streaming on like Freevee. They're all available.
Yeah. Guys, fans of, did either of you get the first Primetime Panic? You fans of TV films? That's a hard question to ask.
That's a hard question.
I love TV movies, but I didn't get the first Primetime Panic, unfortunately. But did you get it, John?
Oh,
I have it. Yeah, I'm complete with Fun City editions. I love. Oh, is it a bit choppy? Am I there?
Yeah, was it? Yeah, you froze for a second.
My network's a little. I was saying, I've got it. I'm a Fun City completionist. I love whatever they put out. And so the first set I really enjoyed. They have an excellent curation, that label.
Yes. Yeah, Jonathan Hertzberg over there does a great job. And
we've had him on twice. We've had a great rapport with him. I think he told us that this was on the way last time he was on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was teased. It's been teased for a while. There was a post. A post came out about it, and we didn't know. We thought it was going to actually get announced earlier, but I guess it got. You know, we thought it was going to be like, you know, because we knew that he was leaving the partner as a partner label. We thought maybe that was going to be their last release through Vinegar Syndrome, but it became one of the last. It's one of the newest releases as their own thing. So that's good. I mean, and so going through these, you got the first film, The Death of Richie, which actually has a relatively big star in it.
Ben Gazzara.
Yeah, Ben Gazzara. I know him from Roadhouse.
He's also in Killing of a Chinese Bookie, which came out around the same time.
That's a great film. Yeah. But in this film, he plays a father who's got a son that seems to be out of sorts. You can say is the easiest way I could say it. It's a whole movie. I mean, look, the thing about these movies that I like is that they're kind of like after school special movies, but without being so friendly. Like they're not as friendly about it. Like it's a little bit more realistic. It's not like Saved by the Bell or anything like that. It's like real. It feels more like real people going through real things, and so that's why I like this one. His son, who seems to hate him, he can't get through to him. He's maybe a little hard on him, but ultimately he seems to be pretty fair and pretty patient. But the kid's going through something. He's growing up. He's trying to figure out what he wants to be, and through that he gets hooked on drugs, and it just becomes kind of a whirlwind of a movie of him trying to mend his relationship with his son, yet trying to not push him away.
Yeah, it's that's exactly what Steven says. It's one of those kind of cautionary tales about kind of like teenage youth run amok, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's I understand its intention. The issue I had is it's really over the top and inaccurate. I mean, granted, you have to put it in the context of the time. The way in which they treat marijuana in this film as like this gateway drug of just complete and utter anarchy and ridiculousness is not true at all. For example, probably many listeners have used marijuana recreationally. Marijuana typically doesn't hype you up to the point where you're like aggressively angry and wanting to like go bananas. It's kind of a more mellow drug.
It sounds like Reefer Madness or something.
Yeah, it does a lot like Reefer Madness.
That's what I'm saying. It's got a after school. It's a scare film in a sense.
It's to scare the parents of that generation. Like, you better watch your kids. They're doing marijuana and LSD. They're gonna go crazy. They're gonna get you.
I think one of the only movies that I think has really done this story right is almost the same movie, and that's the one with Steve Carell about my boy. What was it called?
Beautiful Boy.
Beautiful Boy.
Yeah, Beautiful Boy does this story like really accurately. Well, maybe too accurately. And it's on, he's doing hard drugs in that film. He's doing heroin, I believe.
Heroin,
probably
ice, crack cocaine.
Like really.
He does and that's Chalamet.
And that's the way in which they kind of portray the characters or their youth in this film, as if they're doing extremely hard drugs, and that's the reaction to it. And I'm like, it'd be one thing if they had mixed, because the way in which the youth in the film act as like these kind of belligerent, angry people, it's almost as if one who's afflicted with alcoholism. If you've ever been around someone who's afflicted with alcoholism, they get, ever hear belligerent drunkenness or stuff like that, that's kind of the way they act. And not marijuana typically doesn't do that to you.
I don't know.
I mean, he also kind of makes you trip out,
Well, the thing is maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
I guess everybody's affected differently, but
I was going to say, I don't know that. I know that his friends are into marijuana, but I don't know that it says throughout the movie that he's strictly only smoking marijuana and that's all he's doing. Because we don't see him do the things that he does. He just leaves out, comes back, and he's like just fucked up.
Yeah.
So we don't know all that he's getting into is that he's just doing things he's not supposed to, and then he's coming home and he's being very belligerent and just hating his father and not following any. He's not going to school. He's flunking out. Essentially, he's supposed to be on his way to go to college.
Yeah,
he's losing all that.
That's the most interesting aspect I find about this movie is when it gets into that, the relationship between the parents and the child, and just the disconnect that's there, the inability to connect with one another, whatever the case may be, whether it be because the child just can't figure things out, or whether it be the parents are just stubborn and don't want to listen and frankly don't want to take necessary steps to bridge certain gaps. Ben Gazzara's character, his father, is like doesn't want to do therapy, doesn't want to do counseling, and it's like, this is what you got to do to bridge these gaps, and he's just not doing it. And it just shows you that like there's fault on both sides in terms of the situation going on. Yeah,
there's a generational gap that doesn't look at dealing with issues the same way. But So I don't think you guys haven't seen any of these films, right?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
But are you into scare films? which I think they're fun. I like watching them.
I do like scare films, but one in particular that comes to mind, but I think that was made in 1975. I believe I do have it. Scream Factory released it a while ago. It's with Linda Blair and Mark Hamill. Sarah T, the alcoholic movie, the teenage alcoholic.
Teenager or something. Yeah.
That movie, that was good. That is actually how you do a good scare movie right for for teenagers, for alcoholism. That's what you do right for sure.
I even think of, if you want to go to adulthood when it comes to alcoholism, Days of Wine and Roses, the Blake Edwards film, incredible film with Jack Lemmon,
made by alcoholics.
And it's about adult alcoholism.
Jack Lemmon was an alcoholic, and that was one of the most harrowing experiences I've seen in a movie regarding alcoholism, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good scare movie because alcohol, it actually is very dangerous substance that can kill people, unlike cannabis. So another one. Under the Volcano is another one I really like, just about a guy drinking himself to death. Like really quite a scare fest and a good film as well. But I do like him. Agfa's released a few of those 60s sort of don't do drugs films. They're quite fascinating and a fun watch.
I consider Requiem for a Dream, not to go back on the Aronofsky train, but one of the best anti-drug movies ever made.
That's the ultimate anti-drug movie ever made, hands down. Requiem for a Dream, absolutely.
Yep. But the second film we got here, honestly, the second film is kind of the outlier of the three, because it kind of really doesn't fit. It's not a scare film. It is more of a movie that I think fits more into like feminist, themes. And so, it's about this woman who moves to this new town with her husband, and she decides that she essentially wants to be like the show Walking Tall. She wants to take over as the sheriff. And of course, the system's corrupt. Everybody else is corrupt. And she wants to come in and clean things up. And she doesn't walk around saying she's going to beat the shit out of people, but she's got a strong voice. She's got she's good at getting people on her side. And so she runs for sheriff and wins and then deals. And then the film's showing her dealing with all the pressures of that, along with her husband being kind of stuck in the middle of it as well. And it's my least favorite movie of the three, but it's still a solid like TV movie. You got to think these movies were made for nothing.
TV movies in the 70s a lot different than TV movies now. Interesting connection between the first film and this film. Eileen Brennan is the star of this film. She portrayed the mother in the first film that we just discussed. So there's the connection there. Eileen Brennan, kind of a great character actress of her time. I like the film exactly kind of the way Steven is describing it. It is very much like that. It's dealing with political corruption, societal corruption in specifically small town America, where it's like, this is the way things always have been done, so therefore they're always going to be done, and no outsider is going to come in and change things. We're not going to change things, even though we know that it's wrong. So it is kind of hitting on a lot of modern political things, as specifically dealing with law enforcement, corruption within law enforcement, which is a hot button issue here in the United States consistently now, every single day seemingly. So it's dealing with that. Back in, I think this movie came out 1981, Stephen? Yeah. So it's dealing with that 40 years ago.
But I mean, like I said, it's also got some of some feminist. I mean, it's about a woman doing a job that men would usually always do.
Right. And that's part of the corruption, is that the men kind of run this town. They're all in the law enforcement. They're all the politicians. They're all the owners of the businesses,
and there's and I think one of the best parts about the movie is the relationship between the husband and her, is that he's very supportive. He cares, of course, and he's worried, but he's very supportive. There's a moment in the film where she realizes she needs to learn how to shoot a gun. She's like, I'm a sheriff. I should probably learn how to shoot a gun because it's getting kind of dangerous. And so her husband's like, she comes to him, is like, do you know how to shoot a gun? He's like, yeah. He's like, you need to teach me. And then they go through it, and she's like a natural. And then it's just a fun thing. It's not like a man, he doesn't treat her like she can't handle anything. He's just, worried, but he's supportive. And so I thought that was really good that they did that and stuff. And it's a solid little movie. It would be something I would have checked out if it was on TV. And it's a decent little watch.
The third film, Stephen, is a little bit of a misleading title, a little bit.
Kind of.
The really. Seduction of Gina. It's a movie that's dealing with, warning us about the dangers of gambling, specifically casino gambling and just gambling in general. And this is a film starring Valerie Bertinelli, who was, I believe, a sitcom star at the time from the 70s into the 80s. And in this film, she is a young woman who is just relatively newly married, and her husband is an intern at a hospital, and she moved to wherever he was interning and whatnot. But she's finding it hard to find her own identity and finding out what she wants to do in life. And she ends up taking a trip to Lake Tahoe in Nevada, where I believe gambling is legal, and she kind of gets hooked on it. She gets hooked on specifically blackjack is her vice, and she kind of goes down this path of snowballing where she loses money, she keeps losing money, keeps gaining money. She can't quite get out of the hole. As we see with a lot of movies dealing with gambling. I'm thinking of Uncut Gems in my head right now with poor Adam Sandler's character just can't stop betting, just can't do it. And we see kind of her go into this self-destructive mode, downward and downward. What did you think of the movie, Steven?
I liked it. But I also liked it. I liked it because it gave me that anxiety, because I very similarly thought
I got anxiety too.
I got anxiety about it because financial stuff is what I get anxiety about the most.
Damn, Steven, you're reading my mind.
I know, but plus it made me think about my collecting habits. I'm like, I go buy this thing and then I put myself in a hole, and then
that's the entire mind frame I had throughout the whole movie watching it. That's how uncomfortable it made me.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna use my credit card to buy this really expensive collector's edition. So now I'm in the hole even more.
And then you're trying to think of ways. Yeah, trying to think of ways.
I paid back that thing, and then I was thinking like, God, this is me. Just not as extreme.
Just not gambling at a, or
I'm not losing money at that high of a clip. But
at least you gain something from the money you spend. Gambling, once you lose it, you don't gain from it. At least you gain a Blu-ray. You gain something.
And I could maybe sell it if I really had to.
Right.
Yeah. But guys, you guys got gambling issues?
Gambling issues, no. And as you said, Stephen, collecting issues, absolutely.
Yes.
No, that's it. But
collecting, that's my gambling. Yeah.
Yeah, my mother, she used to say to me, "Thank goodness you're actually collecting movies. It's better than doing drugs or smoking cigarettes, because at least with the collecting movies, they're here to stay. But if you're smoking or gambling, it's gone." And then, of course, here in Australia, a packet of cigarettes costs a packet of 20 cigarettes is like 50 Australian dollars. That's just it's a joke.
That's why
it's a joke.
Well, they're trying to they're trying to get everybody to quit. That's what they're trying to do.
That's right. Absolutely. And then vaping is now becoming bigger and bigger here in Australia as well. Like one vape stick I think a vape is around $200 for a vape. I don't know how it works. Oh. I used to be a heavy smoker back in the day. Thank goodness I quit nearly 20 years ago. But no. Collecting physical media is my vice. That's it.
Yeah, it becomes too much. It's a struggle. All right, John, please say something positive. No,
no, it's the same boat as you guys. Yeah, no gambling, but I do like a good gambling movie. So this one sounds good. So
it's not necessarily focused on the gambling part, but it's definitely a more moral tale. It's watching a person who's definitely going through. We're talking about her obsession with gambling that puts her in a hole. But honestly, at the core of this, it's a movie about somebody that's depressed. It's somebody that is filling a hole in their life because their husband, who's trying to become a doctor, trying to make a better life for them overall, is having a hard time settling into that role as her life. And she's maybe not quite mature enough to have started her life in the way that she is. Like, she's not able to settle down, and she wants to still experience things, but the way that their life is set up, it's not really allowing for that. So she's just kind of sneaking around, and then of course it leads her to a path of even being, unfaithful to her husband. Like, it goes down some pathways that's unfortunate, but the way it ends is kind of a hopeful ending. I think it ends in a way that is the way you would have hoped it would have happened, like weeks earlier in the storyline of the story. Like, if she'd have just done this like weeks ago, things would have been better. But honestly, it might be my favorite of the three, I think. What do you think, Andrew?
Honestly, it's probably the best of the three in terms of, I think, the acting and the story and the way it all coalesces, and just, what it's really going for. And then also being able to have a lot of the other nuances, like you were saying, like, it's not only the gambling, but the gambling leads to this, and then leads to that, and then kind of all of these things just snowball into just pure chaos in someone's life. I think it's it's the kind of the best of what these films are trying to do or trying to portray. Yeah, I love the first set, and I'm obviously gonna get this set as well. It was announced through Letterboxd, I believe, on their social media. That's kind of where it drops. If you're looking for this online, you're gonna have to go to the Letterboxd Twitter or their Facebook or whatever, and you can find it on there. You can also find it on Fun City Editions Facebook as well. I don't believe it's up for pre-order yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be available at your locations. I know with them moving from the partner label area, people are annoyed with trying to track the Fun City Editions down, but it's not that hard.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. It's everywhere. But they moved over to MVD, and of course they sell through their website as well. So
yeah, and they do end up on Orbit DVD. They do end up on Diabolic. Orbit DVD just got all of the partner label stuff and got their stuff, and you can still find copies of Party Girl. They're still available.
Yeah.
I'm only missing the Heartbreaker still. That's the only one I haven't gotten yet for some reason. I keep ordering other shit, but I keep forgetting to order that.
Well, it has the slip. Do it. Get it.
Yeah, I know.
I have to get caught up on Radiance releases. I'm kind of falling behind on them, and I don't want to fall behind.
You're gonna keep falling behind.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for that vote of confidence.
I just know you, and you're just gonna keep waiting and waiting and waiting.
Just grab the 6-month subscription on the website.
Part of me kind of wishes I would have, but on the other hand, I'm like, that's not how I don't have the upfront money for that. I don't have $1,000 to drop right up. So for me, it just doesn't work.
Talk about the gambling we were just talking about.
Yeah, that's anxiety. Then I become that. Then I become when I use a credit card every once in a while to buy things, it has to be in a portion that is, for something I know I can pay back in a short amount of time.
Gotcha. You want the satisfaction of
owning it right away.
Yeah,
gotcha. But I can't put myself in a hole I can't dig myself out of.
Gotcha. Well, obviously this podcast does not help that at all.
I hate my life sometimes.
But let's move on to one of our kind of major slates of the week. Do you want to go? Yeah. Do you want to go, Stephen? Do you want to go to Indicator? Or do you want to tackle Severin?
Indicator. Let's do it.
All right. So we do.
I feel like I disappointed you. Sorry.
No. I'm just saying I didn't know which, because the Severin one is a big one to tackle.
It's literally the last thing that was announced. So let's wait for that. Yeah.
That's very true.
So in Indicator Powerhouse, we got the July releases. We got 4 here. We have Thunderbolt from 1929. Or that's a nice pre-code film there. That's going to be. These are, I believe, mostly all Joseph von Sternberg.
There's 2 Joseph von Sternbergs, Thunderbolt being one of them.
Yeah. And then Song of Songs is the other one, I believe. Or no, that's just Marlene Dietrich's in that.
Yeah, this is a Ruben Mamoulian film.
Yeah, and then the Night Has 1,000 Eyes, which I didn't get a release from Kino.
Honestly, all of these have Kino releases already.
Okay, there you go.
Just to nip that in the bud right now.
Yeah, that made it easy. Thank you. And then last is Jet Pilot. That has that is the other Joseph von Sternberg film. This stars John Wayne.
Yeah,
so,
I believe that's Joseph von Sternberg's last film,
okay,
or maybe second to last film. Interesting. When we start talking about that movie has an interesting backstory about it.
Okay,
but Thunderbolt is a Joseph von Sternberg film from 1929, starring George Bancroft and Fay Wray. Fay Wray was in King Kong. George Bancroft was in Angels with Dirty Faces. It's the first sound film from Joseph von Sternberg. In 1929, they were just starting to figure out how to sync up sound on screen. So this is like early talky stuff. And this is a relatively short film. I think it's only like 81 minutes long, something like that. And this is about a criminal bad guy named Thunderbolt, portrayed by George Bancroft. He's arrested and imprisoned in jail. And he's got a woman that he was kind of seeing, not really, kind of infatuated with, but the guy that she's really infatuated with and that she's having a relationship with gets thrown in jail while he's in there. And his thing is he wants to kill this guy before he gets executed. And that is his thing. Lo and behold, he's the reason why this other guy is in prison with him. He has him framed framed for a bank robbery and a murder, and he has him thrown in jail to be his like next door cellmate, really. And it's all about him trying to find ways in which to kill this guy before he goes and gets executed himself. And the film kind of goes into that obviously moral gray area, not even gray, more dark. Obviously, it's a pre-code thing, so you can get into these things. You can get into, relationships and the complications with that, and all the kinds of stuff. And you can get into the gray area of just, being a murderous criminal. Whereas, with the Hays Code, they didn't really want you to do that too much. The bad guys always had to lose. But this film has a screenplay from Herman J. Mankiewicz and Joseph Mankiewicz. Herman Mankiewicz was one of the writers on Citizen Kane, well, probably the writer. And Joseph L. Mankiewicz, he did movies like Suddenly Last Summer and Cleopatra and huge films. But this is a great pre-code film. I hope this looks better than what I saw online, because I think this is probably in the public domain, floating around somewhere. But yeah, I dug this film.
All right. Anything to add on Thunderbolt, guys? You guys seen it?
No.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. John, yeah?
No, it's one I haven't seen. But being Sternberg, very. Oh, sorry, my internet's being a bit choppy. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Hello? Coming through now? Sorry. It's a bit choppy. No, I haven't seen this one, but being von Sternberg, I'm very keen to see it because continues the tradition of Indicator releasing some of.
All right. Well, what's the next one we got here? We got Song of Songs. Can you talk about this one, Andrew?
Yes, I can. I did get to see this starring Marlene Dietrich, and I do want to say the Thunderbolt Blu-ray from Kino only has a commentary by Nick Pinkerton. That's its only special feature, and I believe the Indicator release doesn't have that, but it has a lot of more special features that goes with it. You'll find that all of these have more special features than their Kino counterparts. But the Song of Songs starring Marlene Dietrich, this is one of the films I think she did after her run or during her run of the classic films from Joseph von Sternberg, which Indicator has a set of, Criterion has a set of, and I believe it's so it's about this woman who I believe her father dies, and then she has to move and live with her aunt, and her aunt is kind of this oppressive, like just super stern, super like doesn't let her go out, doesn't let her talk to men, doesn't let her do anything other that she wants to do, but she ends up falling for this artist sculptor next door, and she ends up sneaking out at night and going to model for him, and nude modeling actually. So obviously this is that pre-code time where it's pushing the envelope in terms of what you can show on screen. There's no nudity in the film. It's just all heavily implied. You see a shadow of like Marlene Dietrich, or maybe it was a stand-in or something like that. And so the movie's pushing that envelope, that pre-code envelope at the time. I thought it was a really good kind of melodrama film directed by Ruben Mamoulian, who did Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the one that everyone seems to love, that Warner Archive put out. Talk about a story that's been adapted a million times. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But I love Marlene Dietrich, so anything Marlene Dietrich does, especially in this time era, something I have to add to my collection.
Most definitely. I'm assuming it's no accident that this movie with her in it is part of the slate that has 2 von Sternberg films as well. Because they, of course, have been closely tied. We've gotten sets from Indicator that was also a Criterion set. Let's talk about Night Has 1,000 Eyes. I remember this being announced from Kino.
Yeah, this is
that title.
This is in every single Kino sale that's come up in the last couple of years. It's like they're trying to get rid of this release from Kino. But obviously Indicator is doing their own. And I just want to say, the only special feature on the Song of Songs from Kino is a commentary by David Del Valle. And I think that's exclusive to there. So this release doesn't have it, but it has a bunch of other stuff. Night Has 1,000 Eyes is a bit. It's kind of like it's a bit of a noir, I think, in its tone, but it also reminds me of what's the Steven? What's the movie that Del Toro just remade?
Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley. Similar to that because it's dealing with someone who has clairvoyancy. Edward G. Robinson, his character, is a clairvoyant, and he kind of he has these visions of the future when it comes to people, and he tells this woman that she's going to die a certain way at a certain time, and then part of the film is dealing with the fact that is this guy actually clairvoyant? Is he making things up? Is he doing something to manipulate situations? There's the whole backstory where he's also like he used to be friends with her father. They used to have an act together, a la Nightmare Alley, where they would go around and perform these clairvoyancy acts. And then, but he really has this gift, or does he? And also her boyfriend or fiance is portrayed by John Lund, and he's also questioning this. And then they reach a point where they're trying to prevent her death from happening and whatnot. And then certain things transpire in certain ways. Once again, I think another solid performance by Edward G. Robinson. He was in like a lot of the Warner Brothers gangster films during the 30s, really starting the foundation for that. He was in The Whole Town's Talking and Tight Spot. This is from director John Farrow, who's a pretty solid director. This is another kind of solid release. I'm a big sucker for anything classic Hollywood of this era, so I would recommend this as well. Just really good. It's another one, I think, where the Kino release only has an exclusive commentary, and then this one has a bunch of other more interesting special features.
Well, that's what Indicator does best, I think.
These are all Region B locked. We should probably mention that since Kino's got the rights here.
Yeah. All right. And then Jet Pilot?
Jet Pilot is probably the most different and most interesting film of this. This film came out in 1957 from RKO Pictures, but this movie was actually made in, I think, 1940, 1950. It even they were even shooting things for this movie up until 1953 because at the time, RKO was owned by Howard Hughes, who is notorious for being a bit of a recluse wild man when it comes to movies.
I saw the Scorsese film.
Yes, you did. So he, of course, was obsessed with aviation. If everybody remembers his films from the 30s, just kind of obsessed with putting planes on film. And this movie's dealing with military Air Force planes. And in this film, the Air Force, it centers around an Air Force pilot portrayed by John Wayne. And then there is a USSR pilot portrayed by Janet Leigh who wants to defect. But is she really defecting, or is she a spy? And so they basically have John Wayne keep track of her, and then they end up falling in love and getting married, which complicates things a bit. But what I found more fascinating was just the production of this movie, how it didn't come out for nearly a decade after it was made because Howard Hughes just kept tinkering with the movie over years, like re-editing, recutting, adding scenes, taking away scenes, forming a plot in this film. The reason why he made this movie was to show off like the great U.S. Air Force planes. And by the time this movie came out, all the planes that he put in this movie were completely obsolete and not even used by the Air Force anymore. So it kind of was unnecessary. And also, by the time this movie came out, he didn't even own RKO anymore. He had sold it off already.
Howard.
To Universal, actually. And Universal ended up releasing this movie. But yeah, the movie stars Janet Leigh and like I said, John Wayne in an interesting role for John Wayne because he's kind of being romantic in this film. He's being flirtatious. Whoa. There's a lot of scenes with Janet Leigh and him just like having a romance together, and that's kind of the bulk and the core of this film. And then in a lot of ridiculous situations, like physical comedy situations. It's an okay film. If you're a John Wayne fan, obviously you're gonna want to get it.
It's kind of hard for me to imagine John Wayne being romantic.
Well, he was trying to be like serious in the movie, and it was more of a romantic comedy.
Okay. All right. Well, anything to add on these on Jet Pilot, guys?
I'm a John Wayne fan, but I
Okay.
haven't seen it. I'm definitely going to add that to my John Wayne collection for sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but it sounds fascinating, the history of it, Andrew. Like the time it took to make this film, that's pretty incredible. So, yeah, no, I'll be grabbing it as well. And I like this month. It's a bit of a oldies month, like Indicator tend to do. I guess sort of themes like, and that's what I love about Indicator. It's so diverse. Like it's Mexican horror, then it's Jean Rollin, and now back to the oldies. So I like the oldies months. They're pre-code films. So, and I'm always a bit cautious because those have been on my watch list for a while, the Kino releases, and I'm really cautious now with like old, just Universal titles that Kino have. I'm just patiently watching them on a watch list because I have a feeling that sometimes Indicator may come out with a better edition. So, and thankfully, these all got knocked out. So yeah, it's a great month. So I've already ordered the bundle because I can't wait to dig into them. So yeah.
Yeah, and the Jet Pilot Kino release has 0 special features on it, so this is obviously a big upgrade.
Yep.
Easy decision. Yeah, I just you have to do that sometimes as collectors. You gotta, something comes out, you gotta think, well, if there's a label I like a little more, and it hasn't come out in region B or hasn't come out in region A, maybe wait a minute. Maybe if it's going to come, because a lot of times this happens. A film gets released multiple times right around the same time. It's maybe a few months difference, and you're like, oh, well, there it is again. So, I mean, in this case, I think it looks like the Indicator releases are the way to go with these movies. So nothing to Kino, we love Kino, but these look like the superior releases. So.
Well, yeah, if you're a collector trying to get the best version of these movies to own, you want the most special features. That's collecting 101, in my opinion.
That's easy. All right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the perfect example for one film that be released simultaneously from different companies was the most recent release of The Haunting of Julia. Of course, Imprint's releasing it, but it's been delayed, but it's coming out May 10th. Then, of course, Scream Factory released the 4K in the US, and BFI, I believe, released in the UK. And that's one major example for one film, multiple companies, definitely.
Yeah, they plan. I believe they plan that on purpose. I think it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a weird strategy, but
but they're all. Yeah, but that's an interesting example because they're actually each release has unique features. So if you're a super fan of that film, you have to get them all. So that's how they get you.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying 3 releases of the same. No, it's not like my many times I've bought The Matrix over the years. This is literally all at once. Like they're like, here's 3 releases, buy them all for $30 a piece. Like, no.
No,
I'll make a choice and then I'll be done with it. But all right, well, let's go on over to Arrow Video. Of course, one of the big announcements of this slate we've already talked about, but we'll go over it briefly since we haven't had the thoughts from Tony and John. Let's start with the Bruce Lee Golden Harvest collection. Your quick impressions of this set.
My one word for that set for Bruce Lee, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's stunning. I can wait for this set because I've got the Criterion Bruce Lee collection, and sorry, I didn't understand. Oh, quiet, Siri. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I've got the Criterion Bruce Lee set, and I believe it does have the same films, but the Arrow one, of course. With 4K, definitely, but I don't know. If you're a true collector, you'll get both boxes, the Arrow exclusive or the standard edition. So, for me, I'm happy with the standard edition as long as the content's the same. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just different artwork. It's essentially it's a limited, it's an exclusive artwork from Arrow. But it's. To me, it's going to have a bunch of new features that are updated features that's the selling point for me is That yeah. Go ahead, John.
I was saying it's one word that came to me is this is pretty definitive, this set. Because I got a call from a friend who was obsessed, the Bruce Lee fan, like the day this got announced, just saying, oh my God, you see what Arrow announced? And because they even have a longer cut of one of the films, which has never been seen before or put on home videos. So that's pretty amazing. So yeah, I just think if you're a Bruce Lee fan, this is, what a world. We've got so many choices, Criterion in this one. But yeah, the... set.
All right.
So, John, you broke up there.
Yeah, you broke up for a second there. We didn't hear what you said. Oh,
terrible. I was just saying, it's very definitive. Oh no, am I still here? Oh crap! Sorry,
you're here.
My internet's being a bit choppy. Oh,
we're here. We hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Come through.
Yep.
Now I can. Yeah.
But so let's
there we
move
go.
on.
Just saying, it's
all right. I think he's delaying. You're delaying on us. All right. So let's move on over to the newer things that were on the slate. So we got a new box set. That is a volume 2. We had some Italian westerns that came out about a year ago or so, and now we have a new set of 4 Italian westerns. This one called Blood Money. And the 4 films that are included are 10,000 Blood Money. On disc 2, we have Vengeance is Mine. Disc 3, we have Find a Place to Die. And disc 4, we have Batalo or Kill Him. Andrew, I know you watched one. I watched one.
I did get to see one. Vengeance is Mine, which is I think the international title, or the American title is Vengeance is Mine. It has several titles. All of them are like in Italian. I think the Italian title is like $100,000 to kill or something like that, or per $100,000 to kill or something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed that film a lot. So Vengeance is Mine is about these 2 half brothers. One is a bounty hunter and the other one is a criminal. And the criminal and the bounty hunter one is he's after the brother. He's after the brother because of something that happened when they were children, and he was blamed for a murder that the other brother did, and he spent 10 years in prison. And the only job he can do, that he's now a criminal, that he's now being in prison, is being a bounty hunter. So he's kind of like set up for life as just being a bounty hunter. So it's kind of about their relationship. You get their backstory, you get what happened with them in their childhood, you get all of that animosity. But what is also happening is there is this $100,000 gold that's at stake that is buried, and then the gang of the criminal brother wants to get it, so they kind of hunting them down. And that's kind of where the film goes. But it also is one of those cautionary tales where if you go down the path of vengeance, bad things are going to happen to you. So maybe you shouldn't be doing that. So it plays on that. And it also has great stylization, great action to it. It's got that gritty spaghetti Western look to it. You get a lot of those similar types of close-ups of the eyes and things like that. I really, really enjoyed the entire vibe of the film. The movie's only like an hour and a half long, which is perfect timing for a film like this. It felt a lot like, what's that film, Steven? That other spaghetti Western that I think Arrow put out, or I think another company put out. Is it Great Silence?
The Great Silence is a Film Movement, I think, put out a release of that, I believe. But I think Kino they might have put out a release of that as well.
I'm gonna look it up, but I will say that
the UK one,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, The Great Silence. It had that same dirty, kind of gritty vibe to it, which I really, really liked.
All right. The one I did watch, I realized I think I posted I posted it on my letterbox wrong. I didn't watch Kill Him. I watched Find a Place to Die. It was the one I watched. So in Find a Place to Die, you have this husband and wife who have their own gold mine. They've been rummaging through, and of course, when you have a gold mine in that time, people are always coming to try to steal shit from it. So they're at the beginning, they're fighting off, scavengers, people trying to take the mine from them. And in the process of defending it, the husband gets trapped under kind of like a lot of rubble. He's basically, they need help to get him out from under all of the rubble he's trapped under, or he's going to die. So the wife then has to go and find help. And when she goes to the nearest town, of course, everybody that's there is terrible people. But the kind of only somewhat decent guy is this ex-Confederate soldier who, wants to help, but also wants money too. It's honestly, every character in this movie is pretty morally questionable, except for the woman. And so they all, a band of people that are there, all come together to go and rescue the husband, even though they're really there to just take the money, the gold that's going to be there when they get there. But the reason they need such a large group is because there's this gang of, a Mexican gang that's known to terrorize the area, that they believe will probably be trying to do the same thing that they want to do. So they all kind of take a trip back, and things happen along the way. They get there finally. It's a solid movie. I really dug it. It was a lot of cool characters in the film. All of them are very distinct. The main kind of Confederate soldier guy is an interesting character, kind of dealing with his past of being a Confederate and kind of being run off when the war was over. And it's a solid movie. I think some of these spaghetti westerns can be a toss up for me. But that one was a pretty good one. So, yeah. I don't know about any of these other ones. Guys, you guys fans of spaghetti westerns? Did you get the first set? Did you get volume 1?
I didn't get volume 1, but I'm a huge fan of spaghetti westerns, of course, Leone's movies. Like my all-time favorite western will always be Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, and that's considered to me, that's the ultimate western. I adore it. But of course, but another classic western that Arrow released recently, which looks stellar, especially in 4K, was Django.
Oh yeah,
that looked beautiful. That was just a stunner to look at.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. John.
Yeah, I love spaghetti westerns. I've got one sitting up there in the Arrow boxes. They were westerns I were quite familiar with, because one was by Fulci. There was it was quite a mix of God Said to Cain, which was another really good one. But this is a real sort of deep cuts, this volume 2, and I love it because I've seen spaghetti western. I've seen all the essentials like Big Gun Down and, like Tony said, the Leone films, and but there's just so much I haven't seen, and I like it how Arrow are curating these more obscure spaghetti westerns. And like I said, Andrew, if one of them's like The Great Silence, that's one of my favorites of all time, because I just think it's a masterpiece. If it's along that sort of the darker westerns, that spaghetti westerns, that some of them I've seen delve into not horror, but they do get there. They're quite bleak. I'm really fascinated. So I hope these are doing well, and Arrow keep bringing out more obscure spaghetti westerns. But yeah, these I haven't seen any of these, so this will be quite a treat. I'm definitely going to get the set.
All right. Anything else to add, Andrew?
I was going to say, now, when you refer to volume 1, are you talking about the Vengeance Trails?
Vengeance Trails.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know there was
I don't think those sets. I feel like they are. Maybe they're.
Yeah, I believe the set says volume 2 on it, doesn't it? Does it say a volume 2 on there?
I don't think it just says
I thought I saw it say volume 2. So maybe I maybe I saw that in my head and I was like,
yeah, I thought I saw that too. Maybe because they're just very similar themed, like in terms of spaghetti westerns. Maybe they're not, but I felt like
yeah.
I think it is. I think it's because of the Western theme, Volume 2. Volume 1, I believe, was Midway Trails, and this one is Blood Money. They're two different titles, but the genre, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
I just don't know if it's been advertised that way. I thought I read it somewhere where it said Volume 2, but I don't. I
didn't see it say Volume 2. I just wanted to make sure our listeners knew what we were referring to when it came to the first one, specifically Vengeance Trails.
Yeah, sorry, so the Vengeance Trails box set. Yeah, so sorry. I just for some reason they just felt connected, but they
because I was thinking that because Arrow's been putting out like a lot of Italian type of stuff, like the Martino collection, the Sergio Martino collection, and they're putting out other individual Italian films as well. That I'm trying to keep it all track of it in my head.
Yeah. But next one here is a big one. Speaking of Martin Scorsese,
I know
we're getting Hugo on 4K and Blu-ray.
Yes.
It's a big one. I'll be excited to get it. To be honest with you, have not seen Hugo since it first came out. It's been a long time.
Similar here. Ironically, I have the 3D Blu-ray of it. That's how long ago I bought that. And what is interesting about this, as opposed to the other Scorsese film that they put out in 4K for the first time, which was The Wolf of Wall Street, is this is both a US and a UK release. So it looks like they've grabbed the rights to Hugo both here and in the UK. I think because Hugo was done by a different studio than The Wolf of Wall Street. Pretty sure The Wolf of Wall Street was Warner Brothers, and I think Hugo was someone else. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what this is going to look like in 4K. Yeah, Hugo was Paramount Pictures, so I'm excited because the movie is incredibly visual. Like I said, it was in 3D when it came out, so obviously it was meant to be a visual spectacle, and it's Martin Scorsese's love letter to cinema, which kind of set me on a trail of like exploring early cinema, because the film is dealing with Georges Méliès, dealing with kind of silent era cinema and the magic behind movie making and all of those things. And this movie came out in 2011, so it's been 12 years since it came out. So it's been a little while. I'm very excited to revisit it in this format.
And don't be upset and don't be scared, guys. It is going to have the 3D version in there. It's not going to be in 4K, but there is going to be a 3D version of this movie available in the disc. So.
Is there? Oh my goodness, it does. Includes high definition of the film in 2D and 3D.
Yeah.
For the purists.
Yeah, for the purist 3D people. You guys are crazy. I don't care. I don't care how good the 3D is.
Steven's was never.
I'm never going to be on board.
Even when it was
sorry,
it made its comeback, and it was like the next big thing there for like that short window where they were releasing like Jurassic Park in 3D and The Phantom Menace in 3D, Titanic in 3D. I don't know if that was a fever dream, but it happened. It happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, my thing. Well, part of it's a personal thing. Hurts my eyes every time I've seen a 3D movie. My eyes can't take it. It just strains my eyes, and but halfway through the movie, I give up. But the other thing is that just for me personally, it just turns the experience into something else. It becomes, I don't ever get immersed in 3D. Like it just becomes a distraction. So you're looking at the visuals purely, and I'm forgetting about story. Like it's supposed to be an encompassing thing, and I think it works best when it's shown a normal 2D way. Like that's just my personal preference, but some people really love that format, and that's fine. It's a cool experiment. I think 3D is a cool experiment for certain things, but I mostly like to watch my film in 2D. That's just me. But please, guys, give us your thoughts on 3D and Hugo.
Well, I have the Paramount Blu-ray that Andrew has as well, and I saw it in 3D when I had my 3D TV. It does looks great on disc. Unfortunately, I missed out on seeing Hugo at the big screen, which was a real shame. But yeah, I agree with you, Stephen. Some movies look great in 3D in the theater, but a majority of it 2D is the way to go. Like Gravity, there was another 3D film. Gravity looked amazing in 3D in the big screen. You can't deny that. But then there was another film, which I think everybody knows, which was mainly for shock value. Gaspar Noé's Love. That was shot in 3D.
He did that just to screw with people.
Absolutely. That's all he did that for sure. But I like the movie Love, but I know a lot of people hated it. But yeah, that one was unnecessary in 3D. It was just one main sequence, only for 3D. And then there was another 3D film, House of Wax from the 50s that just got released. That was on Blu-ray from Warner Brothers. That looks great on the disc. That looks beautiful on the disc for sure.
Yeah, I loved collecting the old 3D from like the 50s, like you said, House of Wax. Even Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D was awesome. Was good. I always bring up Alfred Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder. That was another Warner Brothers 3D release that I got at the time. It was just a cool way to experience these movies as they came out back in the 50s and as they were exhibited back then.
It was definitely. I was amazed that because with Dial M for Murder and House of Wax actually both came out the same day on Blu-ray release, and it always amazed me that I didn't know at the time, like that for a short 3D film, like 80 minutes, you have an intermission in halfway through, and I thought, wow, an intermission so quick. But then I realized back in the day, changing reels, camera projections, it does take time. Now I understand it more. But I watched Dial M for Murder on the big screen on 3D a while back. There was a Hitchcock retrospective here in Sydney, and it looked good on the big screen. But for some reason, it looks better on the TV screen, for me anyway.
All right. John, any more on Hugo in 3D?
Yeah, I like Hugo. I saw it in the cinema when it came out, and it's hard to believe that's nearly 12 years ago now, which is pretty insane. But yeah, it's Scorsese's love letter to silent cinema. It's a great film, but I need a rewatch. It's been that long, so I'm looking forward to this. I'll definitely be getting it. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I broke up again. Am I coming through? Okay.
You're coming through.
Can you hear me? Sorry about that. My internet should know. But yeah, with 3D, I think if it's done right, it's great. There was a period there where, particularly in the 10s, where films were not shot in 3D, they were just post-converted in 3D, and those were like, they don't have the magic of, if it's properly shot in 3D, it has depth, it has feel, things come out the screen at you. That's what 3D is meant to be. It's meant to be fun. But I feel like what happened was we got sick of 3D because everything was 3D. I remember there was a movie I was trying to see, and I was just trying to find a 2D session. All I could find was 3D at the cinema. But good old 3D looks amazing. And Tony knows, we have a friend, like I said earlier, has a 3D projector, and we've seen some 3D films. Like we watched remember we watched Silent Madness in 3D?
Yes, we saw that. That was an incredible transfer in 3D. Absolutely.
Yeah, the transfer is amazing, and like once again, an axe comes out at you at the screen, and just like it's a joyride. It's really fun, proper 3D. But I felt like the films in the 2000s were just, they weren't even making use of like in your face, like sort of. And so proper 3D films, if they're done right, are fun. So yeah, but we all had a 3D burnout there. It was too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's mostly just a personal thing for me. It just, like I said, hurts my eyes, and I don't get it. I mean, like I can see how, if it, like you said, if it's made for 3D, like if it's shot in 3D and they're obviously taking advantage of it, then it can be fun. But if I'm going into the movie with that idea, that's fine. But it's like some of these movies where I don't feel like that it's really enhancing my overall experience, that I just don't, I just think it became a fad, and it became a reason to sell tickets at a higher price.
Very much so.
It was.
I think Avatar started the craze off. Once that movie became the juggernaut box office hit, then all the studios were like, we got to start doing the post conversion in 3D. We got to start re-releasing older movies in 3D.
Honestly, if animated films stayed doing 3D, I would be okay with that.
Like Toy Story 3.
Like animated films, I think they can, for the most part, look pretty solid in 3D, but it's live action films that just don't always work.
Right.
But
no, you've got that. You want to know the greatest 3D ever made?
Okay.
In terms of making use of 3D, Harold and Kumar's Christmas.
I think I've heard somebody say this to me before. Yeah.
It is mind-blowingly good. The 3D. If you get the proper setup, like snowballs coming at your face, like they really took the piss out of 3D, and it's like technically one of the greatest 3D movies ever made. Anyway, I thought I'd mention that.
I'm gonna have to find somebody with a setup because I don't have one. So, but moving on, the last new release we have here is a film called Fighting Back, and it is from. It's got Tom Skerritt in it, or it's directed by Tom Skerritt. Is what I meant.
It's directed by Louis Teague.
No, Louis Teague, and it stars Tom Skerritt. I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, and it's I haven't seen the film. I tried to find it. It was another tough film to find. Is Tom Skerritt becomes a vigilante.
Cool.
He organizes a team of locals to operate as a neighborhood patrol group. When the patrol group resorts to vigilante tactics, the lines between protection and personal vendetta become blurred, as they always do, resulting in violence and corruption. They go hand in hand most of the time. This is Tom Skerritt. I believe this movie came out in 1982, obviously well before Top Gun. I believe Tom Skerritt's in Top Gun, right, Steven?
I hate that movie.
Okay. Whoa.
I don't like Top Gun. Why are you asking me about Top Gun?
I don't know, because I thought maybe
he is in the movie, though. He is in the movie. He is in the
movie, yeah. So it's before then, and yeah, it's an interesting kind of movie to throw into this mix. We've got spaghetti westerns, we've got Martin Scorsese, we've got Bruce Lee, and we've got Tom Skerritt being a vigilante.
It kind of feels like they could have left this one off, but it's in here.
Just to mix things up.
Because you got all this deluxe packaging and box sets, and then
that's what's most interesting about it. These all seem like we didn't even mention the Hugo 4Ks. It's 3-disc set. The third disc is just all special features, so it's like a super deluxe set. And then this is kind of like just a regular Blu-ray release from them that has an interview, and then like a poster, and that seems to be it in terms of special features, and reversible sleeve and a booklet. Not much to go here.
Obviously there's more than we thought. You keep naming off anything.
Well, I'm looking, it just says like a new interview with the camera operator, and then there's a double-sided poster and the reversible sleeve and a booklet.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
That's it.
But it's not every release can be epic.
True. But it kind of shrinks in the background of all these other epic ones that they're putting out this month.
Yeah, this one's gonna get forgotten unless it's good. Then hopefully it will have its day. But it ain't gonna be in July. I can tell you that.
Feels like it's one for the genre fans, I guess.
Yeah.
The 80s genre fans.
Most definitely. Anything else to add, guys, before we move on?
It definitely does sound like another Death Wish film, but it would be interesting to check it out. But don't know if I'll own it in the collection. But I'll definitely be interested in checking this out for sure.
I like a good vigilante film, so like the film Vigilante, the Bill Lustig film, walking the line. So yeah, this looks good. But I'll definitely, if it's on an Arrow sale, I'll pick it up, because a friend of mine was. Missed me and said, "Oh, this film's great!" Like it was called Death Vengeance in Australia. That was the Australian title.
That's a better title.
Yeah, sounds more accurate. But yeah, I'll like I said, if it's at a good price on an Arrow sale, I'll grab it. Definitely will.
Awesome. Well, let's finish off with the big mama.
The big to do. We've got ourselves another massive, ambitious box set from Severin Films,
and Severin seems to they just keep trying to up themselves. It's hard to beat that all the Hans BR set. And maybe it won't be from the contents. People might not like these movies as much as they like that all the Hans BR set, but you can't deny how ambitious this set is right here. I believe it's 24 films. It's a lot of films.
Yep.
So we're getting from Severin Films the Black Emmanuelle, the sensual sensual world of Black Emmanuelle. Wow, it's
yeah, it is a hefty set. It is a set that has how many discs even is it? It's 15 discs, but the last 2 are CDs.
Yeah.
So 13 Blu-rays, 2 CDs.
Yeah, you got 21 Black Emmanuelle films, 2 adjacent titles, and then there's the new documentary that's about Joe D'Amato.
Yeah, which you can buy separately.
Yeah,
but if you're gonna buy this set, it's gonna
be in there. So yeah,
it's gonna be in there. Also, a 358-page book. That's longer than most novels that people probably read.
I know it's longer than the first Harry Potter book. I think
it is. It is a massive. That may be the biggest book of any box set I can recall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Make some room on your shelves for this. Yeah.
I think so.
But so yeah, going through I'll go run through the titles of these films real fast. You got disc 1, you got Black Emmanuelle from 75, Black Emmanuelle 2 from 76. Then on disc 2, you have Emmanuelle in Bangkok and Emmanuelle in America. On disc 3, you have Emmanuelle Around the World and Emmanuelle The Last Cannibals. In disc 4, and of course these are all like a year apart. A lot of these are in the same year, so they were just
chucking these out,
chucking them out. Disc 4 has Porno Nights of the World, great title.
Yep, and then its follow up,
Emmanuelle and the Porno Nights of the World. Oh, okay, cool. We'll just add Emmanuelle in there.
Original title, yeah.
Disc 5, you have Sister Emmanuelle, which I'm excited to watch when I get it. And then you have Emmanuelle in the White Slave Trade, another one I'm really excited to watch when I get it. Disc 6, we have Violence in a Woman's Prison, and then we have Emmanuelle in Prison, so we should watch them together, of course. Disc 7, we have Black Cobra, which I gotta watch that one. I know that's one of the Joe D'Amato ones. Then also next to that, we have also another movie with black in the title, Black Velvet, which I like that title as well. Disc 8, Emmanuelle's Perverse Outburst. Very descriptive. And then also with that, we have Porno, Exotic Love. And then disc 9, we have Divine Emmanuelle, just by itself. Disc 10, we have Emmanuelle, the Queen of the Desert. Disc 11, we have Amor Libero, Free Love. And then with that, we have Emmanuelle, A Woman from a Hot Country. Okay. Disc 12, we have Black Deep Throat. I love these titles. Another movie with pornos in it, Porno Nights of the World #2.
Right.
So, wow. Disc 13, we have Inferno Rosso, and this is the documentary, Joe D'Amato on the Road of Excess. And then with that, we have Scandalous Emmanuelle from 1986.
Yeah, it looks like, just judging by the release dates, that this is a bit of a curated set.
Yeah.
You're supposed to watch these in this specific order, because some of these are ones that are released right after one another, and then some are not. So they went a very Bergman-esque, Criterion-esque kind of curation here with the Emmanuelle films.
Yeah. So, I mean, because you go ahead on some and then you go back to the 70s on some. And yeah, I mean, it's, I'm sure these movies are not cinematic universe type of movies where they connect many storylines and things like that. But I'm sure there's a reason for the order that it's in. Okay. So start with just first impressions. Are you excited about the idea of this set, John?
Yes, I am. Wow, what a set. Yeah, I've been trying. A lot of the Emmanuelle films are out of print. So I knew Severin working on this for a while, so I held off. And some of these films have had Blu-ray releases from like Mondo Macabro. I've got Emmanuelle in America. Violence in a Woman's Prison, that was a Screen Factory title. So it's been a bit of a mishmash of labels. So yeah, I knew this was coming when it was announced. I nearly fell off my chair because I thought it was going to be a box set, maybe like 5 or 6 films or 9, but this is insane. Like Severin, they went all out, and they really are like king of the box set, Severin.
It seems that way. Indicator was always my answer until the last year or so of Severin box sets. I'm like, damn, they're just killing it. So
next level of taking it to, and it's and I always love to hear. Obviously, the Severin guys do their podcast as well, and this set's so big they've had to delay the episode, which is coming out, so because it's just so epic. So, but yeah, just wow! Like I'm very excited for this, and I'll definitely be grabbing it. Because I've been waiting for these films for a while to get a proper release.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Severin's also dealing with some stupid issues with YouTube right now. That's part of the reason that there's a delay probably on that podcast episode. Andrew, their whole YouTube page got deleted. Yeah. I know exactly that. I know exactly that problem. I had that happen to me. So yeah, they got apparently a hit on one of their videos, and
they would talk. Yeah, I mean, I saw his tweets about it. It's like, and first of all, it's all algorithm based when it comes to YouTube these days. It's all robot based, and in terms of like hitting copyright claims and hitting all that stuff. But it's like they own all the rights to everything they put on there. It's not a copyright issue.
They got hit with a copyright, and it's like, well, we own that. You can't hit us with something we own. And then it was also that they got a hit about, I think, violation of nudity or something like that. And it was like, they're careful about that stuff. It might be sexual, but it ain't. They don't show nudity.
You don't see any boobs or anything, that's for sure. Like they're very they're quite suggestive on some of the videos, but they don't even on Facebook. Like they're very smart about that. They won't share that on Facebook. So
you know how many movies I've watched for the show that have nudity in it that were rips to YouTube, and they're still up there. Yeah, tons of them.
That are on YouTube, of course. Yeah. YouTube has gotten incredibly restrictive over the years when it comes to a lot of those things. I mean, it started off with music, which I kind of get, and then then it started with using clips in your videos when it came to all kinds of stuff. But then you had to like appeal with like fair use laws where you can use clips if you're using them to critique something or analyze something. Then it was movie trailers you couldn't show, but now you can. If you talk over them, it's a whole big mess of a thing when it comes to
the
YouTube.
thing is even when you're following the rules, it's like
even when you follow the rules,
you can still get hit, and then you have to go through the annoyance of dealing with trying to defend something that is like it, and it seems that just trying to get in contact with somebody to deal with that problem is impossible. There's nobody on the other end. There's no human resource or human person you can get to unless you probably jump through several hoops. But back to the set here, this is a super ambitious set from them, and I think if people don't know what Emmanuelle is, I think how do we kind of pretty much sum it up? Kind of exploitation films of the 70s and 80s, things like that. She's a central character of most of these movies, where they're softcore porn, movies of all different types of genres. Like I talked about with the Joe D'Amato film, the one with the Lost Cannibals. I mean, it's a cannibal film, but with her in the middle of it, and you just add sex scenes throughout the
she's very much part of that subgenre. I mean, we've talked about when we talked about Stephen, what are those box sets, the ones that are put out by one of the partner labels by AGFA?
Oh, the Doris Wishman stuff?
The Doris Wishman work. Yeah. Well, that first box set was all sexploitation stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's mostly what she did. Yeah. But she I mean, it's very they're not complicated movies, and they're essentially, like I said, softcore porn movies. But I think the endearing quality is just that, this actress was able to, in what she did, attract a lot of people to wanting to watch, because
I was going to say
these are big movies for what they are,
this is, I mean, we hit on it a lot. The rise of adult cinema in that era is kind of really important in film history in terms of like what people wanted to see, what people were watching. There's a reason why that that industry is still alive and well today because it produces lots of money, lots of people working it, lots of people doing it, and it's part of cinematic history, and it's once again getting being brought to light even more in higher quality than probably it's ever been ever. And is specifically this set has a lot of special features that talk about a lot of that. Every single disc here has special features.
40 plus hours, I think, is what I read.
Yeah, and like everything here, I'm looking at like archival interviews. There's commentaries. There's all kinds of stuff. And this is I think this film was this box set was a labor of love by Caroline Janice, who also did the Psychotic Women set. That box set, which is from Severin, which is fantastic, as well as the book that coincides with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you guys, please more on the Emmanuelle stuff.
I've only seen a couple of these Emmanuelle movies. Of course, I've seen Black Emmanuelle and I've seen Emmanuelle and the Cannibal one, and the Last Cannibals. This is going to be a gorgeous set to own, but I'm going to have to wait a while because it's going to be it's a hefty price tag, as you can imagine.
It's a little over $200. Yeah.
Yeah. But in Australian dollars, you're looking around nearly 400. So that's the only thing. But it's a beautiful, beautiful set, and I can't believe that the big bundle sold out less than a day.
Yeah,
that was.
We didn't even talk about it.
It was only 250. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there was a massive bundle known as the Around the World bundle, limited to 250, like Steven just said.
Yeah.
Which came with all kinds of extra, I don't know, stuff, swag.
Yeah. It also included it even includes a board game.
Yeah, a board game.
Fun.
A passport, a fake passport,
a carrier bag,
There was a magnetic studio or something like you can.
It was like a magnetic, fashion,
like a little
thing.
like miniature studio with like figures and stuff. You can like change Emmanuelle's clothes, like put like clothes over, like little paper dolls that they had back in the day. There's a necklace here. This thing sold out very quickly. Like it sold out the same day that this was announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a split second I thought about getting it, but I was like, look,
where are you going to put that stuff, Steve?
Well, this is for me, this is all a discovery anyway. I mean, I've heard of Black Emmanuelle and I've seen a couple of the films, but it's ultimately, this is, if I'm being honest with myself, me getting this is historical value more than it is about me loving the movies. Mm-hmm. So I can't justify buying all the swag with it, because it's not that important to me in the greater scheme of things. I don't need to have all that extra stuff. It's more about the movies, and I want to have the movies for my library. So, I don't need a carrier bag that says Severin Airways on it. Like, I don't.
That is kind of cool, though.
It's kind of cool. It's cool, but I don't need it.
If they sold it separately, it'd probably sell very well, just because it's like a little novelty thing. Yeah. And it doesn't. It's not particularly tied directly to Emmanuelle. It doesn't say like Emmanuelle on it, so you can like use it in different meaning.
I could put a whole bag of Severin stuff in it.
Yeah,
you could. Oh yeah, cool.
That's Severin. The bag they should give you if you go to the Severin cellar, so you can put stuff in it, kind of like they do with Criterion Closet, where they give you like a tote bag to put stuff in now.
Definitely.
Severin bag. No, it's that bundle. It was interesting because this set got announced at like 2 a.m. Australia time. So by the time I woke up, it was like 6 or 7 a.m. and I went down the road to get a coffee, and I saw it, and I was thinking about it. I actually had it in my car, that big bundle, and I thought, and speaking of gambling, I thought, what am I going to do with all these? They're just going to go in a drawer, basically, all these snacks. And by the time I got back to my place, I was thinking about it sold out. So it was kind of good it sold out, because I was very close to getting it. But then I thought that $100 US I could put towards more discs, So
exactly.
And it's just going to go in a drawer, but it's cool. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. But for me, I'm like you, Steven. I'm all about the box sets. Just have it on the shelf. All the knickknacks. It's just going to go in a cupboard.
I've very few times have bought a full bundle with like any kind of. I mean, like I rarely have even bought a Scream Factory disc with a poster that comes with it. Like, I don't care. I don't honestly even want that either. I got 300 original posters that I don't have no place for already. Like, I don't need more posters. Plus I like to keep things a little neat. I don't like to have like my walls lined with posters. Like I don't need all of that. Yeah, it's it's a fun thing, and I'm glad they did it. And I think for a lot of people this is a big deal, and I think that obviously people wanted all that stuff. Good for Severin. I hope that all the work they're putting in will pay off for them with this, because it seems like this was something that nobody thought would happen. They knew that we were going to get a set, but they didn't think it was going to be this like complete of a set. I think that's amazing that they put all that work in. I follow Andrew on Letterboxd, and what's funny is if you start looking through, because he watches a lot of movies, you start looking through his ratings on these films. It's hilarious because he's just like, I had to do this work. I had to watch. The only reason I watched this is because I had to. These might not be the greatest movies, but I do see the value in them, and I'll be excited to hopefully maybe broaden my horizon on it, and the features will maybe make me think even more grand of this once I get into it. So yeah, it's exciting, man. And I know they have more sets. They told me they got like 5 sets coming out this year. So this is only like the second one this year that they came out with. Didn't they come out with another set earlier this year?
I believe they sorry, I just got flashed.
Birdemic, and then the Gothic, Italian Gothic.
Yeah, the Danza Macabro set.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've got that on pre-order.
Yeah. So they still got a couple more sets
and
coming out this year.
Wasn't Violent Streets this year as well?
Oh, Streets. Yeah. That was in January. Yeah. It was.
Violent Streets. Is that a box set?
Yeah, that's the Umberto Lenzi / Thomas.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're fucking right. Yeah, I got that too. I have these movies.
Yeah,
I'm looking over my Severin set, and I'm like, they're out of order. I got to organize. I'm looking in the wrong spots. But no, there's probably at least another 1 or 2 more sets that they've already come out with three or 4 sets this year already. It's crazy.
It's only April. My goodness.
Jesus, what are we gonna do? Especially you guys. You guys, at $400 for
for Black Emmanuelle, definitely be around 400 for sure.
Oof.
Yeah, we thankfully have we'll plug. There's a good retailer called Dead End DVD down here, run by a good friend of ours, Joel Brady. Kind of like what you guys have, like Diabolic or Orbit. Pretty much he's an Australian Orbit, and he gets the Severin box sets in, and usually he'll give us a heads up when they're in stock, and I get it through Joel. I used to order from Severin direct, but because of postage rates going up, Joel can get them. But it's, I said to Joel, when this comes in, just give me a heads up. So.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's good, man. Well, we've made it, guys. We had a lot to talk about. We made it to the end. We've almost made it to 3 hours, I think. So we appreciate you coming on, guys. It's a lot of podcasting, a lot of time. I'm glad to finally get some more podcasters on. I had Aaron on last week. I know he was supposed to do a show with you guys. I'm sorry that he double booked us, apparently. I don't know what he was doing.
It's all good, but we are getting him again very soon.
Okay, good.
So it's all good.
I told him he could reschedule with me, and he chose me. So sorry, he's an asshole. No, I'm just kidding. Aaron, you're not an asshole. I was just messing around. But I was like, what did he do? I guess he double booked us. I don't know, because I would have liked to know when you talked to him before. I want to know. We need to talk off screen.
You need to know what the timeline is.
First. Who talked to him first, and we'll know that who got screwed.
Well, that's me.
It's probably you. But thanks, guys. We really much appreciate it. Where are the best places for you guys if anybody wants to reach out to you, or if anybody needs to listen to your podcast? Where should they go?
Well, for Imprint Cast, you can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, and Stitcher. And of course, you can always follow our Facebook pages, the Imprint Films Blu-ray Collections fan group, and the Imprint Cast group pages. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd. I was FilmNut79. And you follow those groups. I'm always active on the group pages for the Imprint Cast and the Imprint Film Blu-ray collections. And if you just feel free to follow us, and I always reply as quickly as I can. So yeah. It's great interacting with everybody who loves physical media in general.
Awesome. John, where can they find you?
Yeah, very similar to what Tony said. Indicator Cast is on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Same with Imprint Cast. I'm also on the Indicator Blu-ray group, which has become quite a large group now, nearly up to 4,000 members. And it just originally started as a small little group for a small group of Indicator collectors, about 20 of us, and now it's pretty insane. So I'm on there. I'm on Facebook. Feel free to message me direct if there's any questions. I'm quite active on Facebook. But I'm around, and you can hear the podcast elsewhere. And Tony and I were thinking we may even do something with YouTube eventually.
We are thinking about that very soon. Definitely.
Got a big archive of stuff like interviews and stuff. And we're just like, maybe YouTube's a good place because some people it's a bit difficult. I don't know how to get a podcast, where do I go? So we're discussing that too. We may do something on YouTube and just combine all the stuff.
All right. Well, awesome, man. Yeah, please. I mean, we need to get more. We are doing the YouTube thing now, just to get more stuff out there. It's good to help, good to get out in the community, to get more eyes on your stuff. And, get maybe do some reviews. I'd love to hear some spotlights and things like that. That would be nice to hear from you guys. So
there are going to be some special edition titles coming on Imprint Cast. We're going to be discussing. I may reveal one as a surprise. Later in the future, probably in the next couple of months, we are going to be doing an episode commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Wicker Man. So that's going to happen very soon. And also, we've got a few guests coming on, and they'll be great. And of course, Stephen and Andrew, we must have you on. We have to have you on.
Of course. Yeah, I like Imprint. I like some of their stuff. Yeah, they
don't let it.
No. I love Imprint, man.
I got tons of this stuff around me.
Yeah, it's
looking around.
Yeah.
A lot of it's so popular with a lot of US and Canadian consumers, like fans. But, it's fascinating how there's probably more than the Australian collectors. It's amazing, which is great. I think it's amazing.
It's amazing, but it's sorry, one more thing I just got to say before we go. Like with Imprint titles, like there's a store in Australia called JB Hi-Fi, which is the equivalent to America's Best Buy. In Melbourne, they actually have all the Imprint collections under lock and key in a glass cabinet because everybody just wants to take them. It's nuts. It's crazy.
That's wild. I'm glad that physical media's got a place in stores somewhere in other countries. It doesn't happen here. Except for now, Best Buy likes to carry random things like shout stuff and some Criterions. Weirdly enough, you see in a shout in a Best Buy now. All right. Well, if that's it, Andrew, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Capzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can find me at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be our Instagram, Twitter. You can follow me also on Letterboxd at Stephen Billings. And you can find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.
Same here.
Oh, yeah.